And we are red.
Okay, I'd like to open the meeting for November 7th, 2013 for the Selectmen's business. To let the record show that Al and Pat Constantino are not present, but we will be speaking with Pat Constantino on the telephone. Okay, now I would like to turn the meeting over to Tim to go over our tax rates.
Okay, I passed out a sheet. If you look at my reportable items,
Yep.
weekly report, I just noted in there that what took place earlier this week, and for Pat's benefit, who doesn't have this, I'll just go over this briefly. Wednesday, DRA called, and Joyce and I went over some remaining items, reviewed the state figures, which they always update at this time of year, for us for rooms and meals and that sort of thing. And then also we were able to add in the landfill grant, the first payment that we received, that was about $23,000. And then we were able to also put in the anticipated auction sale of our deeded property. And in any case, the net of that works out to be there's a worksheet on the back side, which is what I emailed to the board, I believe that evening. But before I go into that, I just want to point out the surrounding towns' tax rates. So I pulled Belmont, Northfield, and Samerton, which I was able to find their rates. Belmont for 2013 is $22.44, which is 10.8% higher than what we're proposing. Northfield's is 26.83, and that's 32.5% more than Tilton's. And Samerton is 22.97, or 13.4% more. So we are faring well compared to the surrounding towns. And of course, we don't know what sort of projects and other things that they're working into their budgets, but just as a matter of comparison for what it's worth, as taxpayers sometimes compare one town to another. So if you look at the sheet on the tax rate, the preliminary rates, as they came down from DRA, our local is 6.704, school is 8.016, state school is 2.44, county is 1.29, for a subtotal of $18.45 prior to the addition of the village district, which is our fire district, at $1.95. So prior to any fund balance use, that would be a tax rate of $20.40. Our unreserved fund balance that we have available is $1,084,633, and we're recommending that we reduce the rate by using $78,500, which would bring us down to $20.25, possibly $20.24, depending upon how DRA rounds each individual item. Such an increase would be an 11% increase, or a little over 0.5% from year to year.
Any questions? Pat, do you have any questions?
Explain a little bit further how we get to keeping our tax rate as it is right now by putting more money into the fund account.
Well, one of the vehicles that every town has available to it is to use some of its unreserved fund balance to basically buy down the tax rate. So there's a formula by which, for us, it's about, every penny is about $5,203. So if we want to reduce it 10 cents, it'd be $52,000, that sort of thing. So in looking at some of the unusual activity we had this year, we had several deeded properties, or a few deeded properties that resulted in additional unanticipated revenue. And this reduction of tax rate equates to somewhere around half of that amount. So it's returning some of the monies that we've accumulated back to the taxpayers through the reduction in the tax rate. Does that answer your question, Pat?
Well, earlier you said if we use, in order to keep the tax rate the same, we would need to use $135,000 rather than $75,000.
Yes.
I don't know what the board feels about that.
Oh, keeping it the same?
Yeah, in order to have the same tax rate as 2012 of $20.14, it would require $135,282 of fund balance. The reason why we had just recommended $78.5 was to keep the fund balance over $1 million. But that's correct. If we were to keep it the same as 2012, it would be $135,282. But it's pretty rare that the tax rate would stay exactly the same from year to year. Our 2011 rate was $20.34. 12 was $20.14.
I'm all about giving the residents back their money. If this is not going to like hurt us, if DRA says, yeah, that's okay, I don't want to keep money that we're getting 1% or 1.25% or whatever it is, totally lowball figure. I would rather give that money back to the residents, quite frankly.
Are you talking about giving back
135,
78 or the 135?
135. I could go for that. I mean, oh yeah, we got $1 million in the bank, and meanwhile, this person can't pay their taxes, and that person's scraping.
But you're talking about what? Less than 20 cents.
Yeah.
Well, just to clarify something, the $1 million isn't in the bank, so to speak.
Yeah, I know.
This table, those chairs.
Well, it might do good for you to explain it, not just for me, because I know, but for those people who are watching.
Well, the fund balance is made up, it's essentially the town's equity. So it's the assets less the liabilities, and that includes liquid assets as well as other long-term assets. So
The dump truck, for instance.
correct.
Yep. Everything the town owns.
Your on the DRA, fund balance, as to how much it counts in holes in their fund balance?
They have a suggested rate.
No, there's actually,
Wait for a minimum, but I'm wondering if you have to wait for a maximum.
no, there isn't. On our sheet that we would be signing and sending back to them, they show anywhere from now keep in mind this is a recommendation from the Government Finance Officers Association, so this is not DRA, but they use this as a basis to say, hey, there's a professional organization out there of government accountants that say you should have at least a minimum of 5%, and here they show categories going up to 17%, but there's no cap necessarily, and there have been many years when we've been under the 5%. In fact, 2007, I believe, we had to have a special warrant article to raise, I think it was $4,000 or so, because we had a deficit fund balance at that point.
What was our continued that was
Higher, since I got into office, I know that we've been trying to do our due diligence, and I think that's a tough job with it. But if you look at the $56,000, tax rate is the same, as opposed to, going up 10 cents, which means, it's gonna hurt quite a few people to go up 10 cents.
Well,
I don't know how that will work here.
if I could just give you an example, that 10 or 11 cents, let's say it's 11 cents, that represents on a $100,000 house, that represents $11. On a $200,000 house, that'd be $22 and so forth. So it certainly is an increase.
But we have to also consider that if you take that much out of your fund balance, that really reduces down the amount of cash that you would have available, because what, about 40% of the fund balance is in liquid and the rest is solid?
I'd say about 30,
Asset?
35% or so.
Okay, so you don't want to get rid of all your cash. If you have an emergency that comes up, what are you going to do? You can't mortgage all your assets to take care of the emergency. You need some on hand. You know, what if the side of the building starts falling down this year? I mean, it seems far-fetched, but it could happen. You
What
don't
was it?
know.
Furnace.
Or the furnace. What happens if we have to buy a new furnace for the town hall this year? You're cutting yourself back so bad that you can't handle any kind of an emergency that would come up.
Is $1 million cutting ourselves back so bad?
It's not $1 million in
It's-
cash.
it's not $300 grand.
Yeah, it's not $1 million in cash. and
It's more
you're-
like 300 grand.
So we're talking about reducing our liquid assets, if you will, by a third.
Right. So I think the 78,000, we have to be realistic too. I mean, yes, I'd love to be able to say, well, put everything towards it and cut the taxes even lower, but we can't do it. We can't function as a government if you get rid of all your ready cash.
No, I don't think we're talking about getting rid of all of it now.
No, but you have to leave something there for that rainy day.
We're
You
talking
have
about
to,
$250,000 or so,
Jeff?
20 grand.
Well, we
you have to
are,
understand why you have a fund balance, what the purpose of it
Yes.
is.
well, I can say
That's
we're,
exactly what Sandy's saying.
well, we're in better financial shape this year than we have been in a long time. And as I'm looking at the end of year now, our revenues have remained strong, and our expenses have, we're better than where we should be budget-wise. So we're probably going to see a good addition to our fund balance this year as well. So it's really, unfortunately, I just don't know what's coming between now and the end of the year. That's always hard to tell, but if things keep going the way they're going, we're probably going to have a good addition to the fund balance this year.
That's fine if it goes the way it's going, but what happens if the heater goes out? I know from my home, and I can imagine a heater for this place was that much more than what,
I would,
Well, you have to also consider the precarious situation we are in, with the federal government, that the state government can affect.
right? We don't know what else they're going to make us pay for this year. It just seems to me like I would rather keep the taxes a little lower and keep that reserve there, and next year, if we have more fund balance, then we can give more. But you don't know, and we won't know what's going to happen on the state level and on the federal level. Already, look at how many things we've had to absorb.
Tim, if we use the 78.6 or whatever it is,
78.5.
78.5, what will that leave our liquid assets as of today?
I really couldn't answer you. It's so wrapped up in.
So we rightly don't know how much money we have.
Well,
No, I know how much money we have in the bank, but right now it's precious little, because we're in that lull before our tax bills go out. So for me to tell you what our bank balance is right now wouldn't be very useful. It's about $160,000, and we run about a $40,000 a week payroll. So, and we just paid construction for the parking lot, we have health and other expenses, and you'll see the payables is quite large, at least in terms of size this week. So, so that's really not a good indicator. The way I look at it is, what do we have to borrow each year in order to, make it through the year? Our TAN. That's, I think, for me, is a better view. And in prior years, we've been able to reduce that each year. This year, because of timing issues, we had to borrow the same amount that we borrowed last year. but I can see where we might be able to reduce that slightly this next year. We borrowed $1 million in 2013, and we might be able to borrow just $950 or $900 next year, which would be wonderful. But a lot of that depends on the timing of things, how much we're paying to, say, fire and school, which is increasing. So when those increase, we have less flexibility in payments and timing of things. So the borrowing becomes more crucial.
Okay. So 2014 is the,
Well, no, it'd be 2025.
Yeah, 2025, right. I just think, right. I think that that's the prudent thing to do, not knowing, unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball to let us know what's gonna happen next year.
Well, next year, there's some things that we know will probably generate more activity for certain departments.
Right.
The reval
Right.
is going to be probably something that will, generate some activity.
My questions are satisfied, so however you need for a motion, I'm fine with that.
All
I
right,
would like to make a motion to set the Tilton tax rate at $20.20.
You can't set the tax
yeah.
rate. The vote is to take the money out of the fund balance
Yeah,
or
and
not.
Well, that was the second part of my motion. Okay,
DRA will set the tax rate.
Yeah.
I
DRA
would
is-
move to take $78,500 out of the unreserved fund balance to apply to the taxes, or the tax rate.
Second.
Do you hear that, Pat?
I did.
any other questions or comments? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Any abstentions? Nope. All right, it's a unanimous decision.
Okay, great. I have a sheet that we'll need to have signed and sent back. So I'll circulate that. Down where it says signature of town city official.
And I put it in the morning and sign it?
Certainly.
Okay.
So
So
if you
we'll
just-
give them the DRA now, when it's suggested that our tax rate will be, what, $20.25?
well, it's possible it could turn out to be 2024, depending upon how they round some things. They have a very arcane, in my view, rounding method. But more than likely it'll be 2025. It could turn out to be 2024. So that's that. My next item was a request to withdraw $74,574.09.
Tim,
Yes.
should one of us sign in the signature of town city official? Or
Yes.
do you sign there?
No, one of you
I was
should sign
gonna
it.
say, Pat's coming in the morning, she can sign it.
Okay, so she's gonna be here?
Yep,
All right.
we left the top notch for you, Pat.
So in any event, the work that was done at the parking lot, Tryon Road and Rescue Road, Tryon Lane and Rescue Road, that all amounted to $74,574.09. And I have a letter here from the board to the trustees requesting that they withdraw that amount as the selectmen are agents of that fund to reimburse the operating account for the money that we've paid Busby Construction for that work. Please.
I'd like to make a motion that we sign the letter prepared for us to the trustee of the trust funds, asking them to release the amount of $74,574.09 as dictated by the Board of Selectmen, who are the agents for this account.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Yes?
Yes. Opposed? Okay, so I guess the motion passes, I'm going to sign it.
Okay, and Pat, I'll make sure that that's with the other sheet for you to sign if you come in the morning. I only had two other quick things. They're both related to the budget. 2014 actually has 53 pay dates in the year. So I'm reviewing the timing of those because we accrue either into the prior year or shows a prepaid expense, always accrued in the prior year. That amount that was worked during that year. So I have to take another look at the timing, but I just wanted to alert you to that. I'll have that for you next week if there is any change. I don't think there's going to be, but it might be very slight. The other item is on the voice over IP. I'm going to have to rework that or revise that quote in the budget because I've got to price in what it's going to cost us basically at retail with MetroCast based on the current status of the contract. So, so in any case, I'll have those things for you as soon as I can. But I just want to alert you to both those items.
Okay, are we meeting at 2 o'clock next week to finalize the budget, so we have all the out here?
Catherine Wosner is shaking her head yes.
That's what I was told last week.
Okay?
Okay. Tuesday is our first day back. So I will, providing I can get payroll first thing, Tuesdays, they're going to meet at 2 o'clock. But, okay, because that's going to be, it could be challenging for me depending upon when I get payroll, and I'm up against some hard deadlines on Tuesday, so, for the Wednesday payday, because of the holiday, so, okay. All right.
So we'll do next choice.
All right, Pat, did you have anything else you wanted to say to the board?
It's up to Sandy. I asked her.
That if you, after meeting with the gentleman from whatever it was.
Health Trust?
Health Trust?
Health Trust. It's very, very clear that the board needs to make a choice, or you folks are gonna make a choice on what plan to keep
Right.
tonight, but we need to really sit down as a board to make a definite decision whether or not we should expect employees to do a code pay.
That's correct, and we did talk about that a little earlier, and I think that Catherine and Joe both feel the same way, that part of it would be better off next week when we have our other two members back.
Okay.
Can't the whole thing wait until next week,
No, we have to make a decision.
tonight? What's the deadline?
I'm sorry, Pat, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
You're gonna work up some numbers for us, for percentage wise, employees contribute, tell them how percent
Right.
Right. It's, I could certainly have that for you by Thursday. I'm taking tomorrow off, and then Monday is a holiday, so that would give me absolutely no time between now and that 2 p.m. meeting, given payroll Tuesday morning.
Hang on. We're gonna ask Joyce. Hang on, we'll ask Joyce.
What is the question, because the refrigerator's going.
She's asking, sorry. She's asking if the decision on the deductible, the contributions and other things can be made next week
Yes,
or the week following.
yes. What we need to decide today is what plans
How much time do you have?
we're going to offer.
She
Right,
wants
yeah.
to know how much time do we have on the other decisions as far as how much of a contribution, and thing on,
It has nothing to do with, that's separate from the plans that we offer.
okay, but do we have a time,
Budgetary, well, sooner than later, because
Right.
employees are gonna ask, well, if they're gonna make a decision to switch to a
Right.
different plan, they would need to have that financial information.
Well, and for the budget as well.
right,
Right, but I mean, my focus right now is I need to get the open enrollment information out, and then as soon as possible, we decide what the percentages are.
right,
Her answer is that she needs to get the open enrollment out as quickly as possible, which means that the board needs to select the plan tonight, but the other work can come later.
Like next week, hopefully.
Next
right, next week.
Yeah. Because
So
that,
once the board selects the plan, which she will be able to do open enrollment,
Right,
if we say that the non-union employees have to contribute, for example, regarding how much percent,
right.
will that affect their choice
Is-
on what plan?
she's asking.
It may, I mean, the
It may.
actual transmittals from the,
We have to do it sooner than later, okay?
Correct.
yeah, I mean, the employees have to make their decision by 12/13. I've got to get the information so they can get their cards in time.
Employees have to make their decision by December 13th, so that they can get their cards in time for the new year.
Okay.
If they're
Alright.
making a change.
Then that depends on how much they're expected to contribute to.
Yep. Right,
So, as soon as you can get that to us, then, that maybe we can talk about it and decide that. That's going to be crucial on what they, if it means changing, picking their plan, changing it based on what their co-insurance is going to do, then, I would say we need to move it later.
right. You're correct.
All right, okay.
Okay?
Yep, I thank you very much for understanding that and allowing me to share this on the phone.
Hey, we understand totally. You might be contagious. We don't want you here. But feel better.
All right.
Feel better. Good night.
Thanks.
Good night.
Is that it for?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you.
I
Rest of-
suggest you read the letter on Kate Miller's thing. It has directly to do with INET and
Yeah,
voice over internet and a $10,000 payment
I
to us.
did, the 10 grand popped out at me.
Or the construction of the net and the laying of all the fiber to the various buildings.
Yeah, yeah,
So you'll have to figure out which one
right,
is in our best interest.
okay, will do. And just so you know, I sent out earlier, and you may or may not, I think you do have them, your October financial summary,
Yes.
so you have those. I'll just point out one thing to you that was a little bit of an anomaly. Is that in the police revolving fund, last month's balance showed about a $15,000 ending balance for the month. This month it shows a $12,900 or some such thing. There's never during the year, there's a constant flow between the invoices and the expense. The expense always is usually ahead of the invoicing. So at any one point in time, that number is going to change based on whether we run payroll before we've received the invoices that are going out to the vendors. So I just wanted to point out that that doesn't necessarily mean any money was spent. It just means that it's a timing issue between the expenditures for payroll attributed to police details and the invoices that are generated for that work.
shouldn't it be on this page?
It is on the police detail page.
You listed separate, I
Yeah.
forgot you did that.
Yeah, it's gonna be put a little further back, not too much, one more.
I got it,
You got it? Okay,
thank you.
all right, I just wanted to point that out because it's an unusual item. All right, thanks very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you.
Okay, now, bye, you have a good night.
Thank you.
If the board doesn't mind, I'd like to go now to Joyce and let her do a report, and we'll take care of the health thing. Or at least have her talk about it, she can give you her pros and cons recommendation.
Yep. Yesterday was the first opportunity that Tuesday was the first opportunity we had to have a workshop with our health trust representative to go over and explain the rate increase, the plans, just have general discussion. We had tried earlier, but we just couldn't get him here in time, because November 1st was the first date for open enrollment. At that meeting was Pat Constantino, Sandy Klesmer, Scott DeRoche, who's with the Health Trust, used to be the local government center Health Trust, now it's just the Health Trust, myself and Tim Pearson is there.
Yep.
And I just want to get this in the record for Catherine. The overall increase in medical rates for the Health Trust is 9.3%. What they're doing that's new is because they have a new health trust board. As you know, the local government center used to be comprised of the New Hampshire Municipal Association, Health Trust, Property Liability, Workers' Comp, and Unemployment Comp. Now you have NHMA, which is a separate organization, no longer, LGC is gone. Then you have your Health Trust, which is health, medical, short-term, long-term, disability, life insurance and disability insurance. Property liability is property liability, workers' comp, unemployment comp. In the past, because we had all of their services, we were able to receive discounts because on our property liability and our workers' comp, because we also had the health trust. Now they're all separate organizations, those discounts have gone away. We saw at least close to $12,000 to $15,000 a year discount in our workers' comp because of that. So that is not gone. The other thing that they're doing differently is that our town, our plan, used to be pooled with all the other towns and school districts and water districts in the state that had fewer than 100 employees. If you had over 100 employees, then you were rated on your own claims experience. They have changed that to groups of 50 or more eligible employees and retirees in what's called the 50 and under pool. If you're over, they look at your claims. When we questioned that, the answer we got was that we really wouldn't see big spikes in our experience going from 100 to 50. They just haven't seen that in the pool. They also have January pools, which we're in, and July pools. And we asked them, there's a difference in the groups there, because most of your July pools are your cities and town, your cities, large cities, because they're all in fiscal years. And he said because it's just, there's such larger groups, such a larger pool of individually rated people, those increases averaged 9.3%. Ours averaged is 7.9%. And there's some other things that, why that is so high this year. One of them is in the past, whenever they would have surplus, they would always return the surplus in the form of rate reduction. With the recent Bureau of Securities and Regulation rulings, they can no longer do that. That's why you've been seeing these contribution holidays, that once they are audited, if they do have a surplus over a certain amount, they have to return it that way rather than giving everyone a rate reduction. That makes up, if they were able to do use their surplus for return of contributions, our increase would only have been 5.4%, not 7.9. The other factors are that just in general, the medical trends, as we know, those have increased nationally 6.3%. And that's made up of treatment costs, technology, the fact that the federal government is paying less for Medicare and Medicaid. We have a greater unhealthy population. I heard an interesting thing on NPR today, how they're trying to outlaw the use of any processed food companies of putting these trans fats.
Yep.
Because it's a national health risk. They can know they're gonna be outlawed.
Right.
It really is unhealthy for you.
Oh, it's really bad.
Yeah,
I've been for years.
well, so that, things like that.
I don't like
are
Crisco,
great.
but it turns out Crisco is poison too.
Unhealthy population. And also there's been a whole change in treatment methodology. An example he gave is, in the past when you went in, you maybe get an x-ray. Now you go in, you get an MRI or a CAT scan. I mean, it's just, treatment is different. So when you look at nationally, that pool of services, prescriptions, the services that are available, that has increased 6.3%. The other thing that was interesting is that they've had to add, they have what they're called the PACA fees, which is the Affordable Care Act. There are a number of fees that have been built into that law. And that is passed on through rates, and that is about 1%. One of the fees is, they have to pay $63 per life. So they have approximately, when you include all the subscribers that are in our plan, all their groups, they're probably in the 40,000 people.
$63.
$63 per month. But that's not just us, that's everybody.
Right.
And the biggest thing is, and we can thank the Bureau of Securities and Regulations, is in the past, the health trust, because they had such large, I don't want to say surpluses, but they would set their reserves according to industry standards on how much they had to hold for claims. They did not go out and repurchase, it's called stop loss insurance, which is very, very expensive, because they felt that they had enough in their reserves. If we were hit with a catastrophe like the 1918 flu epidemic, where every single member had a claim that they had to pay out, that they could cover it. And now they're required to purchase this, it's called stop loss insurance or reinsurance, to cover extreme exposure claims. And he said the likelihood of them ever happening is ridiculous.
Insurance companies continue to get richer.
Yes. So that being said, that's where the 7.9% increase is coming from. I gave you, we'll start with this page. These were the plans that we looked at. The ones that we currently offer are the ones that are shaded, which is the Blue Choice 3-tier, $10 copay. We have the MTV 5, which is our base plan. And we have our MTV SOS, which is a site of service plan, which has a higher copay and a deductible. More and more, not only the health trust, but more and more municipalities are trying to, originally the move was get everybody off the Cadillac plans, which was the JY, which the town did back in 2007, I believe, 2007, 2008. That was the Cadillac. In fact, no one's going to be offering those plans anymore. So we moved on to a managed care, Matthew Thornton and HMO. Now they're trying to move people on to the site of service where the subscriber is making more decisions about where they're going to get their care, their lab work, their surgery, their tests and things done. and pay towards a deductible. In an effort to do that, and also to offer a plan that was a little bit more affordable for employees and some of our elected officials and part-time employees that can't afford our HMO, it at least gave them access to health insurance coverage at something that they can afford. We've had 2 employees take advantage of that plan. For full-time employees, the town had offered to pay 100% of that premium as an incentive to move off the HMO, and also to pay 25% towards their $1,000 per person deductible. Maximum is $3,000 per year. As we see the premiums continue to increase, I think we will see more employees be interested in, sitting down and really crunching some numbers to see if it would work for them, going to the site of service. We looked at the numbers for changing the amount of our copay from the $5 to the $20, but when you looked at the actual dollar savings for both the employee and the employer, it really is not significant. And then we had also talked about for the non-union employees, increasing the percentage of the co-payment, and it was the general consensus that to make a change like that, it's best not to make any changes to the plan itself.
Right.
Change the amount. So hopefully next week, we'll have the data ready that the board can, we can have a good healthy discussion and really crunch the numbers and see what's in the best interest of the town and our employees. So what we are recommending, and also let me throw on top of this that we are also started our negotiations for our next collective bargaining agreement. The current agreement we have has been for 3 years. It was our second 3-year agreement. It expires June 30th of 2014. So we are now going forward, and any changes in the health plan, and I confirmed this with our legal counsel, for the union would have to be negotiated. So what I'm recommending to the board, and also being that something that would be negotiated, if there were changes made, say to their co-payments or plans that were going to be offered, that would qualify as a change, so that in July, when the new one goes into effect, because there's just so many contingencies. First, you have to come to an agreement, and it has to be approved by town meeting. But once we say the plans that we're going to be offering our employees, any changes they make, unless there's a significant event, such as marriage, birth, death, or collective bargaining agreement, this is what's in place for the year. And also with the new Healthcare Reform Act, there's certain information, I mean, we've always provided the information anyway, but now I have to document that we provided information, that all the plans that we offer, I give them all that information so that they can make a choice. As soon as they can get the website up and running or can call, any employee can go on the health.gov website, enter their personal financial information. They will have from me the information on what our plans cost. All of our plans meet provide the coverage. We have the coverage that's required by the law. We'll find there. The next little piece is whether or not it's affordable or not. And the only person that would know that would be that individual that's signing up, because they take our single plan, and our base single plan is the Matthew Thornton Blue. They also have the option to plug in the numbers from the SOS, Site of Service Plan, and if that amount that they pay, because our part-timers do not get any co-payment, exceeds their family household income, then it wouldn't meet the affordability part. Just based upon my knowledge of our employees and the plans that they're enrolled in, and also our full-time employees, what we pay them in wages, we meet that affordable. But we won't know that unless an employee, because we don't know what they will file for what their income is. So we're in good shape as far as that's concerned. The plans we offer meet the current law.
And anybody who went with a health exchange insurance policy would then be eligible for insurance buyout.
No, you lose all benefits.
If you,
No, if you go to the exchange, you do not have an opportunity for a buyout. We talked a little bit about that, that's something that we have to clarify with our attorney. It's hard to get answers because, you know, there have been a lot of rules that have been promulgated,
Right.
but there's so many levels of bureaucracy that the rules have to go through, because you've got Health and Human Services, you've got the Internal Revenue Service, which is Treasury, and you've got the Department of Labor. All three of those agencies all have a piece on how the plan is offered and regulated.
Health and Human Services,
It's the primary agency for saying, these are the health plans, this is how the thing will run. The Department of Labor does the, making sure that it's, affordable. The only way they get the affordable piece is information from the IRS in terms of what employers are filing for W-2s and matching that up with the information that people enter on the application form. And it's always gonna be a year behind. The worst case scenario for the town of Tilton would be if we had, let's say we had a permanent part-time employee who wanted to be in our health insurance, and they go to the exchange, and they find something from the exchange that will pay less, so that they meet that 9.5% of their gross family income, such that, and they would be, then they could be eligible for a subsidy. And if they get that subsidy, that's when we would pay a penalty. So again, we don't know, these things don't even kick in until 2015, 2018, who knows? Even then, the amount of the penalty, it may be cheaper for the town to go ahead and pay that, you know, contribute to that premium than pay the penalty. These are all decisions that will come in the future, but for
Yeah.
right now, we're okay.
Yeah, well, they're beating it about.
Well,
They've extended it, what, March 31st, haven't they?
Certain parts of it, the penalty part, I think is out until 2015. I get notices weekly, I have a
Right.
file if you want to come down.
Well, one thing that I thought he did clear up, for me anyway, maybe other people didn't have this concern, but you keep hearing them talking about on TV how people are gonna be forced to give up the insurance that they have, and they have to go. But like he was explaining to us, what that really means, how that translates is, no, if you've got insurance and your insurance is adequate and you're happy with it, then that's what you're gonna keep. The people that are going to be forced to get another one are those that have these very inadequate plans. That it costs them a lot of money, but they're not really getting much in the way of services. And unfortunately, there's insurance companies like that out there too,
You're talking about the $5,000 deductible plan.
and higher.
I have a lot of friends that have those.
Yeah,
well, if people have $5,000 in the bank towards,
Sure.
I mean, they should be able to, I mean, well, look, there's nothing
A
deep
lot
this
of
into the ground that's
construction
gonna
workers
do
have
to change.
those.
So,
Right.
Sole proprietors have those.
well, he was
They
going
bank
higher.
they bank that high deductible, but, you know, heaven forbid, they end up in the hospital. You know, a hospital bill can be $200,000 or $300,000. $5,000 is nothing. It's silly. It's all silly.
But anyway, that,
Nobody was walking in the real world with us
yeah,
who created this.
no,
But that's interesting, it might be cheaper to pay the premium than the fine. They do, federal government does tend to give us very hefty fines, don't
yes,
they?
they do.
they only charge you $95 if you don't sign up for insurance.
Per
The whole
year?
thing was, yeah,
Heck, it's cheaper to not have
it's much
insurance
cheaper
without
than insurance,
I know.
$95, and they put that off until
And then they
2015.
go and they get sick.
Yeah,
And then it works just the way it works right now. You go to the ER and they take care of you and suck it up. It's not fair, but it is what it is.
right.
So what we are recommending for 2014 is that we keep our current plans, which are the Blue Choice 3-tier, the Matthew Thornton Blue 5, keep that as our base plan, and the Matthew Thornton Blue Site of Service plan.
So moved.
Is there any further discussion?
I think we need to have a second. I'm just
Okay, I'll
saying.
second that.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion?
So you're recommending no changes?
They look like it's for 2014.
We offer those three plans, the details of which are to be determined next week, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, say
Yes.
aye.
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 Joyce knows this far better than I do.
For the non-union.
Yes.
Yeah. We understand.
Okay.
And there was no, so it was unanimous.
And I just wanted to draw your
It was
attention
unanimous. Yes.
to, I also attached the appendix, because this is helpful information when you're making decisions. There's two papers, one is for union and the other is for non-union, okay? Showing, so the 2014, that's showing the 7.9% increase, that's what they will be. And this Appendix A is part, goes in our employee manual and also goes in the collective bargaining agreement. So this is written, it's presented from an employee's point of view, not the employer's point of view. But what it lists is, if you look at the Matthew in blue, that's the new monthly premium for single, two-person, and family. The annual, so right now, the cost, because we have to budget gross, the gross amount for a family plan is $26,855.
That's for the TV5, right? Blue 5.
TV5 for a family plan.
Yeah.
That's 100% of the premium. So you figure, say, base starting position is $20 an hour times 40 hours times 52 weeks a year. Okay? Now, with the current union, they're contributing 14.5%. Our contract ends June 30th, but for the purposes of having a sheet, I just had to extend that over into the next year, and that's why I have that, but this is just a draft, because this hasn't been negotiated yet. Just so that you can get an idea, if there was no change, an employee who's in the union would pay close to $4,000 a year out of pocket for this premium copay. That doesn't count what they pay for their office visits, which is $5 an office visit, or for their prescriptions. And then when we break it down into how much that comes out each week, you can see, because the first 6 months of the year, we spread it out over 26 weeks, and the second part of the year, we spread it out over 24 weeks, because that allows us 2 weeks before we close out the fiscal year to do our reconciliation, because there are so many changes during the year. Someone will drop something, they'll pick up a new plan, they'll add a child, that we need 2 weeks to reconcile it, because all their co-payments are made pre-tax. So that gives you an idea of weekly what comes out of their paycheck. And the next one is for the non-union, which is, and I gave you the prior year so you can see the increase. And the next one is for the non-union on weekly what they're paying. The good news is dental, there was no increase in dental,
Right.
and usually there is. And I'll just finish up with, this is a copy of the open enrollment notice that will be going out. Which basically says, if you want to make a change in your current plan, come see me. And then I also have to give them, this is what's required, anyway, it just now has to be in a different format. So that when and if they do go for the exchange, they're comparing exactly what we offer to others. So I'll give them the MTV Blue $5 copay, the site of service. We no longer offer the JY, and we do have one employee that's still on the Blue Choice. So this is I need to get this information out, and what the rates are,
Right.
as of right now.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, what the copays are as of right now. So thank you very much for taking care of this, because this is a lot of work to get this out. All right, and then maybe I'll come back.
What, you have others, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to draw, I think in your legal,
Mhm.
and I have to put in the to be signed, because I just got one of those abatements. At Fairpoint, need to be signed,
Okay, there's something in there about that point.
yeah. And, the rest of it is my.
Where are the abatements
I'm gonna hand it
for?
to you.
Oh, okay, so I didn't, I was gonna say, I thought it's what they do. Oh, there's to be signed, they didn't give me to be signed folder.
My printer downstairs, it says I have to replace the drum.
Oh.
The drum. This is 11 and 12. Actually, that should be in the.
I'll start with you, start back up this one.
Okay, so it's 5:30, we have till 6:30, we've got the property law going coming. Shall we look through the minutes and we'll do selectmen reports?
I have a couple of questions on
Okay.
some stuff in the to be signed folder.
Okay.
I have a Hawkers and Peddlers in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
and they have make of a vehicle, but there's no registration number. And I'm not sure what the motor vehicle license number up there says.
Okay.
I mean,
I could call her tomorrow.
it's a motor vehicle
Yeah.
license number. That's not a motor vehicle license number.
I think she put her registration number down.
Well, that's what I'm wondering.
Mm.
So,
I'll call Helen tomorrow,
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of
I mean,
confusing.
I didn't know the difference.
That's definitely
between
not a
those.
motor vehicle license number. And it should say if it's New Hampshire, yeah, because here it is.
There are copies of the license.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a driver's license number, I think you're right. Okay. I'm not sending that. And then, why is this document for the administrator for the sewer commissioners in our to be signed folder?
That is an FYI.
Just to let you
So
know.
it should be in the FYI folder.
Well, I think that at one point, there was gonna be some discussion about it, but we would need a full board
Yeah,
for the budget committee wage.
yes.
I don't get it.
Whether there anything was gonna happen on that side.
On the wage, because in the past, that position's wage was kept apace with the budget committee, or the other way around. The budget committee rate was kept apace with that position's rate.
But isn't that something the budget committee would recommend to the selectmen?
No, well, this is something that the selectmen make that decision.
This is not as the secretary for the budget committee.
That is correct.
This is as the administrator for the sewer commission,
That is correct.
which we have absolutely no control over.
That is correct. So that you know that there's been a change in that rate, so it's an FYI, because it can impact something that you do have control over, which is the budget committee rate.
We'll have to have a conversation about that, because I
Right.
have that, but I.
That's why it's in there, so that it will jog us to
For
discuss
your
it.
information, see.
Yeah, but it doesn't say that, so I mean, somebody might sign this, because it's in the
They
to
might.
be signed folder.
They might sign it.
So it should be it should be in here.
Okay.
But they might
Oh,
not.
here, I'll put it in this one.
Okay.
So are we signing it? We're signing this, right?
Yes, I just thought I started
Oh,
down
we
there,
decided to sign it.
because that usually ends up back there. Okay, so those are my questions, thank you.
Okay, all right, now, shall we do the minutes real quick, or we can start with the selectmen account?
I was falling asleep. Minutes are good.
Okay, let's do the minutes.
Joe, minutes?
Today is 7.
Today's the 7th.
Yes,
Minutes it is.
all right,
Yeah,
I'll
very
make a
good.
motion to bring the minutes of October 24th, 2013 to the floor for discussion.
Second.
Yes.
Okay, yes. All right,
13, you say?
October 24th,
24th, okay.
2013.
page 2, in that little paragraph where it's talking about the cemetery, this just seems, go down 6, 7 lines. Says the site, clean the site and return it back to its natural origins. It just sounds odd.
Come on, that's probably what I said.
Would you like it better? if it
I
said
don't know. I don't know.
Natural
It
conditions?
doesn't make any difference to me.
Yeah.
Really, it just sounds odd. You mean natural origins?
Or natural conditions?
So it's that's what I was gonna say, it's natural conditions, we
Yeah.
can change it, okay.
You like that
I
word?
guess so. I mean,
Natural
because
origins would be its original condition.
Yeah.
That's what you said.
origins.
That's what I
original
said.
That's what you
conditions.
said, Catherine.
I said origins.
Yeah, you did.
Then okey-dokey.
But okay, it can say to its natural, its original condition or natural
Yeah.
state.
Original state,
Natural
I'll get
state.
back to its natural state.
Right.
natural state.
I
That
like
make
that
it
even
better.
better.
I was feeling pretty good to start with. So it's like, I don't know if I feel better, but I think that'll work.
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
it works. Um,
Ron O'Keefe, Darlene Simmons, and I think.
Is there a reason at the bottom of page 3, and it continues on page 4, that we don't use the attorney's name?
Because you didn't tell me.
Oh.
You never said-
Good
Never said
reason.
There is a reason.
It was just the attorney that was being used, and
Okay, so his
I
name was
I
never
figured you
mentioned.
didn't want to
Because
say.
people, you know, lay people that read this are gonna go,
Yeah,
so should we have them put in? It's no secret.
No, it's
So
not.
do you
He's
want-
one of our town attorneys, so,
Oh, they did, good.
What do you think, Joe?
yeah.
Scott
Put his
McGuffin?
name in.
Yeah.
I'll put it in there, okay. I didn't put it in because no one said it, and I didn't
Right.
think I was
I
supposed to.
thought so.
The tree McGuffin, I think.
Got it.
Next time you have to tell me.
Has the individual with the tax payment plan made his payment?
Yes,
That's very
right
much.
on time.
Do you know why it wasn't made on time?
Yes, we do.
Yep.
That was a non-public session, however.
It's okay, I'll read the minutes. I was just curious. It just tells me he came forward. We got an
He
explanation.
sat right here
Obvious.
and explained it.
Since we're allowing him to continue, must have been a pretty good reason.
Okay. Catherine, read the minutes. Just read the minutes.
I'm gonna have to. I see that DOT has changed the speed limit sign.
Good.
Hallelujah. Although that still doesn't take me to the other track, but hey, we're that much further ahead.
Well, you know, if you think about it, maybe they'll carry it through, it depends on where they place the sign. I didn't notice over here.
On page 8, about halfway down the page where it says, Selectman Fussman made a motion to approve the submittal of the application and to vote to authorize the chairman. Wouldn't that be better if it said of the Board of Selectmen? Instead of
Yes,
just a
I see
comma?
that. Mhm.
Did the Northfield Board of Selectmen respond to the island
No, not yet.
Christmas? Okay.
No, I have contacted them. I haven't heard back yet. I could give them a call tomorrow.
Just so we can set a budget.
Call them.
Right.
I would make a motion to accept the minutes of 10/14/13 as amended, corrected.
24,
Sure.
October
October
24.
24th. It actually said, all right, page 10,
Yeah, it says the 14th.
it says the 14th
Oh, I
on
just
page
pushed
10.
things right along.
Oh, yeah.
Every other one is correct, and
What
that's the
page
one
is
I
that
was
again?
reading. Okay, so, I start over again, since we didn't have a second. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of October 24th, 2013 as corrected.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi,
Aye.
I have a couple of questions about the minute.
Okay.
The Christmas parade event is, I believe, the first Saturday in December. So we're rapidly running out of, time is running past us, because we'll have to order decorations, then
Right.
get them set up. So we should probably think of setting a deadline for a response from Northfield.
Yeah.
Um,
We can decorate half the island, can't we?
As long as we don't cross that boundary
Well,
line.
you know, we decorate one thing and just say, well, we thought you were gonna decorate the tree.
I'm sure they're not gonna be upset.
I would think not.
But it is, we do need to do in that respect and courtesy.
Okay.
Have we done anything about someone looking at the front doors?
No, not yet, Catherine, I'm sorry, that's on the list.
No, it's okay, we're kind of this time of year, we get a lot more things going on in the doors, just curious. And, have we done anything to arrange for our state representatives or looked into the bill to do away with the regional planning commission?
Ms. Cormier?
Excuse me, we were going to invite her and everyone to come.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just waiting for a date.
Pick a
We
date.
were also gonna have them all come for another reason.
Well, they're also putting forth plans. I've seen some literature out there. Nothing has been sent to Tilton, but I'm sure they would send it to me if I requested. How they're trying to eliminate all of the requirements to have workforce housing.
Right.
They want to
I haven't
repeal
seen
all of
that.
that as well. Is that what you're referring to? I don't know why Tilton didn't get the letter.
No, that one doesn't bother me so much though. Workforce housing could be necessary. Those are the things I was wanted updating on.
Okay, I'll just real quick go through the FYI file. Saturday, December the 7th through March 30th, the Tilton Winter Farmers Market will be doing their thing for every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And that's starting this week.
I think I thought it was December 7th, eh?
Yeah, isn't that this no.
I think not. This week is the
I hope
9th
not.
and 10th of November.
I'm gonna be big
I'm
time.
just
No, I'm
saying.
thinking this weekend is the 9th. So
And it is, the 9th and 10th.
December 7th through March 30th. I don't know if you all saw that we had a draft of the minutes finished, and we sent it to our attorney for 822 Coney Road, and he responded that he had no problem with the draft. We have a
Did you say good job?
yes.
Thanks for coming in.
We have a thank you note from Pines. It says just a quick note to say thank you all very much for allowing us the opportunity to get some much needed supplies for our youth programs. We really appreciate your support and generosity as we move forward. Again, thank you very much, Jim. You're very welcome, Jim. When we get a few minutes, we need to talk about the letter from Mr. Sellers. I don't know if you read it.
Oh, yes.
We'll do that, I'll quickly get through this. The 2014 dates for the supervisor for sessions is January 24th, 2014, 7 to 8 p.m. March 1st, 2014, 11 a.m. to 12 noon. Oh, people are gonna remember this.
Do we post that on the website typically? The
The-
supervisor's hours?
Supervisor's hours.
Yes, I put it on the calendar.
Oh, and you put it on the calendar?
But do we
Which
put
is
it on
on-
the front of the website to let people know that it's in there?
Oh, I don't, we can, sure.
Yeah, we could ask him to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, because I could read all these dates off, but remember.
I never can remember.
So if we put them on the website, on our calendar. So,
Yep, on the front page of our website.
Yeah,
Yep.
Maybe a link or something.
okay, and for everybody's information, Tilton Town offices will be closed Monday, November the 11th, in observance of Veterans Day. We have a DOT letter just letting us know that they have scheduled a guardrail replacement project in the town of Tilton. The ground survey topography will be taken along US Route 3 in the vicinity just north of the causeway adjacent to the shoreline on Winnisquam Lake. A survey crew will be in the area and will need to enter onto your property and properties periodically during the next year to locate buildings, drainage, and landscaping. Representatives of the department will also be in your area to visually review natural and cultural resource impacts. The work is to aid our design personnel with information for engineering. And then it just goes on to say, if you have any questions, and they give us some information, if you check with Joyce or Catherine, our secretary, they will be happy to furnish you with phone numbers.
Now that doesn't sound like that project's gonna take place for a year or so.
Right,
This is just engineering.
the engineering.
So we're gonna
work.
need to make sure that we pay
Right.
attention
Yes,
when it starts, because one of the big questions is, what time of year are they gonna do this?
yep,
And how much of the road are they gonna block? It was gonna be one lane?
right.
And we know that they don't use police to, for their details.
Right.
That, I mean, that's a significant, that area has significant accidents. I mean,
Yes, it does.
fender benders, cars in the lake, I mean. I know it has to be done, but we should really pay attention.
Okay, this is an invitation from Spalding Youth Center for their annual Thanksgiving feast. It will be held on Thursday, November 21st at the Westwood Dining Hall at the Spalding Youth Center. And the selected seating time is 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. And we can put this on our website if anybody would like to have the information regarding this.
Do any of the selectmen want to go?
Yeah, I went to that last year, and you know, it was, I want to go again. I want to go, the food was okay, but the opportunity to interact with the administrators and the residents and the kids and staff, and it just was a right thing to do. Not everybody went, but it was good.
I was gonna say, why don't we bring this up again next week when we have the other
Yeah,
two here? They
yeah.
might
Okay.
want to be.
All right, and then
Yeah,
I could
I
call
went
them.
last year.
Yeah,
The chief, Biggie Paulus.
so we'll talk about this next week.
Yeah,
and
keep it
I'll
in the
leave
to be
as
signed.
FYI one.
Keep it in
The
there.
lieutenant, Biggie Paulus. Say it.
Okay, we have an important notice here from MetroCast. This is for the business customer. They're going to be transitioning the delivery of video channels to an all-digital format.
That's not just for business customers, is it?
No, I got one of these at home, but
Yeah.
this one happens to be to business, but.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
They're changing them.
Right,
Just like when they get rid of antennas.
right. So with the new all-digital format, you will need the proper digital equipment for each of your televisions in order to continue to view all the channels you currently receive. You do not need additional digital equipment for your television if it is a digital television with a QAM tuner, equipped with MetroCast Digital Converter or DVR, equipped with a DTA or a digital terminal adapter, and equipped with a cable card. If your television is not already digital ready, you will not be able to receive channels noted on above after December 1st. To avoid any disruption, please contact MetroCast at 1-800-952-1312 to be sure that you have the proper equipment to receive your digital stations or channels. So that number again, 1-800-952-1312.
Can we forego the reading of the FYI file in the interest of time?
Sure.
All of a sudden- I all of a sudden felt like a public service
Yeah.
station.
That number
Because I
again.
think we've all looked at it.
Okay, the other thing is,
I
just
looked at
noting
that.
that
That was
this is in
depressing.
here.
I didn't see that. Depressed me a little bit.
When it was.
Millions of dollars.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You need to look at it.
Yep.
It's not-
I've
it
been
represents-
following it on the River
Well,
Basin.
that's their
website.
plan. What's interesting in that, and we really need Johanna, because she's our representative to it. They make a statement that that's what, for their infrastructure, DES, Woodstock River Basin Project, that's their plan. So if
Right.
we have infrastructure, it doesn't include, it's not included in there.
That's right.
Okay,
And
only
then,
one
of
other
course, the
thing.
question is we pay for that.
That's right.
Through our fee, we pay to dump sewer into the interceptor.
That's right.
And we have no control over it.
That's right. I wish there was a barrel so I could do a visual of us being over the barrel.
Right. Okay, Joyce just gave me a thing that these are signatures. It's medical coverage and rates, the traditional rating group. It's the January 2014 medical renewal. The following rates are guaranteed from January 1/14 to December 2/14. Anyway, I would say please look at it, and it needs our signatures. So, if you have anything else you want to add, Joyce, about this?
No, that's just, you voted to go ahead and do it, so now
So
just,
we're
we
gonna
can sign it.
And, okay, before, let me see, why don't I turn it over now to Joe, who is going to talk to us about the MetroCast?
We had a consortium meeting Tuesday, at which there were some final comments. It was a non-meeting with Attorney Miller from Donahue Tucker and Chiandella with regards to the contract. What came from this is that we would, part of it would be, we would be eligible for either a $10,000 payout or the construction of the INAP here in the town of Tilton. Now, this was part of the contract that apparently didn't get signed or properly dealt with 10 years ago, 11 years ago. All the other people that had signed the contracts and had the franchise agreements were eligible for that. Well, there are 3 of them that neither took the $10,000 nor the INAP, because it's an either or thing. And MetroCast has made it known, and if you'll refer to your franchise agreement packet, there's a copy of the latest and greatest franchise agreement. It's a Tilton, it's the Guilford format, but that's easily delete Guilford and put in Tilton, which I had yet to do. No one's done that. But this one had all the latest things, the things that MetroCast has agreed to. They've come up to 75 cents per subscriber to be given to each town as a technical grant every year. Now, they've been losing people, so 75 cents. I don't have the exact number of subscribers here in the town of Tilton, but it seems like it goes down, and that's based on basic cable. As a for instance, anybody who gets video from MetroCast has basic cable service. Everything is built from that.
Right.
So the numbers are for the basic cable, includes all video. Does not include phone. If you just got your phone from MetroCast, or in my case, I get my internet from MetroCast. Those numbers are not counted because internet and phone have nothing to do with the contract. That would be paid yearly. The municipal internet package, there's a side letter, and it under separate contract for services, and in the side letter, it discusses the $75 per megabit per month, and the rate would be not to exceed that amount. That would go, the issue of origination points for broadcasting of television signals. According to this agreement, they'll bring it up to the building, but the construction costs, now the construction is the laying of the cables, and if we required it to be dug under the ground, or whatever, would be borne by the town.
Wait a minute.
For the origination points. If we,
So they're not gonna cover all the costs to bring it to the building?
they'll bring it to the building. There it is, do something with it. If you want MetroCast to hook it up or become any more involved in that, there would be a charge for that.
Okay, so they're gonna cover everything to get it to the building?
And it's spelled out in there, we're responsible for the strands at the termination point. They run it to the building.
So they must run some kind of interface on the.
Yeah, there's equipment involved and so forth
So
that
they'll
we would be
install-
responsible for.
But wait a minute, no, they should have to install their interface. The termination point of their line on our building, they should have to install
They
that.
do. And
Okay,
then we plug in our stuff. I mean, it's not like there's gonna be just a giant cable sticking out of the wall.
well, I was wondering.
No. The school, although I have yet to hear from the school, I hear rumors that the school is at this point not interested in having an origination point due to the cost of moving that signal around between buildings or stringing the cables and what have you inside the buildings. And the fiber optic lines in question are they're not talking about putting giant cables in there. So they've got a strand, two strands of dark cable. Dark cable meaning it's not lit up, right?
Right.
And then, but you can only carry so much bandwidth on that. It's the cost of the bandwidth that is the killer. And the schools have to have huge amounts. My understanding is they're leveraging this MetroCast thing with Fairpoint, and in order to get themselves a better rate on it, because that's a significant expense for the schools. All their testing is tied into that. So how that's going to fall out at the end, I do not know. We have a unique bargaining position in this. Unique in that no other member of the consortium is in the position we are. According to the Telecommunications Act of 1934, as amended in 1995, you can't operate a cable franchise within a municipal boundary without a franchise agreement, which we only have a pole permit here with MetroCast.
Right.
Which kind of explains why they're willing to give us $10,000 in cash and/or build us an INET. The INET would link police station here, the public works department, and the senior center, and the school, all together with this fiber optic cable, which the construction of which would be paid for by MetroCast. Would that be in excess of $10,000? I don't know. Would it be $7,000 and we take the 10 and then use the extra 3 to, Tim is going to be putting that together to see what the deal is. They're willing to do that. Part of the meeting the other day was that Elizabeth Dragon, I love Elizabeth, said that they had taken the $10,000, and yeah, these 3 other entities plus Tilton might be eligible for this, but we're getting a worse deal than we got the last time, and that we should include something in there to make up for that $10,000 slash INET, and it came to, they finally agreed to request $7,500 per municipality, which we would be in turn eligible for as well. Now, because we only have a pole permit, our bargaining position is that perhaps we can do a little better than the template. I've been to all these meetings. I've read the Telecommunications Act too many times. I am not a lawyer. Thank God. Kate Miller is totally up on this. She's been the lawyer for the consortium. Her expertise is in telecommunications. That's what she does for DT&C. She negotiated Dover, she negotiated Rochester. This woman is as knowledgeable as anybody in the state on this subject. I would recommend that we contact Attorney Melton and request a time where she could come here. This would cost us money, but it may well be money well spent to the law firm. As much as I hate to say that, we've already gotten this $10,000 thing thrown in. So, I think that we're okay with this person, I think it's better to do it than not. And she could take and go through the proposed contract, line by line if necessary. Of course, we have to pay them by the hour, you understand, so we should make our questions succinct. But she can go through and address concerns and how the template would be tailored to the town of Tilton. So this might cost us $300 or $400, but I recommend that we contact Attorney Miller and set up a time where she would come and discuss our contract and our negotiations with us specifically.
I understand what you're saying, and I would say that that would be a good idea. Why don't we have Catherine tomorrow check with Pat? I don't know what our future meetings look like. Only Catherine and Pat know that. And see if we can come up with a time, and then Catherine can let you know, and we'll contact her and see if, what her availability is.
We have 7 weeks before the contract runs out,
Oh, I
which
understand.
doesn't really affect us
Right.
because we have only a pole permit.
Right.
But they're also willing to, if negotiations run long and not everybody in the consortium is ready and signed up by December 31st, they'll extend the existing contract beyond January 1st.
Okay,
So we don't lose anything if we go a little bit over.
right. I have questions, and I don't know that there are any answers out there. First of all, it's my opinion, and my opinion only, I don't want to say that everybody feels this way, but it seems to me because we have such a monopoly in the cable area, that every year our rates arbitrarily just go up, whether we get any additional service or not, it just goes up. And what started out at about, say, $20 to $30 is now almost $30. And so I'm wondering, is there any choices at all? What can we do as a community to lower these charges that our peoples are having to pay if they want to be part of this? I mean, I don't think there are any answers.
The answer to your question is, as a function of the franchise agreement, absolutely, positively nothing.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to
That
do.
we do not have control over the rates. I can
Yeah.
give you the short answer about why the rates go up. The average profit margin in video for cable companies is 1% or less.
Wow.
They carry the video, but the money is in the internet. It's
Right.
sort of like the Wild West out there. It's not regulated.
Right,
And so they charge what they charge.
We have some control over the rates.
You can, well, now, we go into the next part. Is if you don't like the rates, don't use MetroCast.
right.
You can-
That's
you
the
can
control
charge-
that you have.
You can charge all the customers a tax.
I personally dropped MetroCast. I pay half the amount for twice the amount of channels with less service interruption, because if it's huge snow or it's the downpour that we had there on July 4th, I lose signal for 15 minutes. 2,
Where'd
3,
you go with the
the down here, the tornado thing that we had up here, and it just skirted by me. Yeah, I lost signal. Came right back on.
You have the dish.
I have the dish, and I would never go back to MetroCast.
Well,
But that's because of the function of price and reliability, and
I
that's just
understand.
me.
and I also know from checking with other towns, like I have one son that is with Comcast. And if you look at their bills are very comparable to what MetroCast, if you compare apples to apples, that you're not gonna save anything by going to Comcast. All right, well, then there's really nothing we can do in that aspect.
Not in that arena. The infrastructure associated with hardwired cables,
Yeah.
branches,
It's a monopoly.
all of that stuff is very expensive. That's also why getting a competition is nigh on to impossible. The investment in stringing all new cables is huge, and the profit margin is way down. Everybody's going to internet and satellite dishes, and after going through this whole process and LRPA and all the rest of that, I firmly believe that television is dying.
Oh, I think
It'll
so.
all be internet, and well, it should be. The cost is just significantly cheaper. Dish, satellite, cable TV, ABC, NBC, ESPN, HBO charge Metrocast. They charge Metrocast to
Oh,
be
I
on
didn't
the
know.
cable. They go up, Metrocast goes up. It's a crime, but there you go. And the last, seems like there was one other thing on that, but, and I'm not exactly sure if this, Attorney Miller approached me about a formal reply to the Fairpoint abatement lawsuit or whatever it is that we're involved in, and wanted to make sure that we had sent a formal reply back to Fairpoint, because as it applies to Metrocast, if Metrocast isn't paying this, then why should Fairpoint? And it's part of the process, but I do believe we've already done that. We signed the papers. Attorney Radigan is on this. He's also Donahue, Tucker, and Giandella. So Joyce is already working that like nobody's business. So are we going to we are going to contact Attorney Miller to set up some kind of a meeting?
Yes, in the morning, Pat can talk to, I know that Pat is coming in the morning to sign a few things, and at that time, Catherine can have a discussion with her, and we can find out when we have, if, I don't know, next week, what our schedule looks like, I don't know when that, so let them talk about it, and then Catherine can let you know whether we have time available so that you can call this attorney and see if she would be available, either maybe this week coming up or the following week.
It gets us down the road with that.
I'm sorry, what?
Is there gonna be a motion to?
Do you want it in the form of a motion?
So how's the attorney go?
Yeah.
As long as they agree.
Okay, as long as you all agree.
Yeah,
No,
no,
I
just
think
make sure it's in the minutes.
Yeah, and it'll be in the minutes, so if you prefer, I'll make a motion that we do it.
This is fine. We all
Okay.
agree.
So anyway, I'll let you talk to Pat in the morning, and then you can get back to us as to, when we have availability, and hopefully after she comes, we can wrap this up and get
We're
this
still here, aren't we?
signed.
We're still here.
Okay, I have a number of other things,
Why don't you
but
have a
apparently we have guests.
Well, they're way early.
We are.
Oh, are they? Okay, well, how early are they?
They're 6:30.
Okay.
This is wrong. I have 6:14, so they're
Okay.
15
Well, I
minutes
get
early.
6:08 on the little thing.
Oh,
And that's gonna be the.
6:10 on the
right
I'll
time.
go by my.
Okay,
my
moving
clock.
on.
And this town hall was always several different times.
Yeah.
I have a copy here of the 2014 proposed Concord Regional Solid Waste budget.
Yep.
It has gone up ever so slightly. You can see line by line what our funds are and so forth. Now, part of that, you'll notice that at the end of 2014, we will no longer have ash delivered to the ash landfill, and the landfill will be closed.
Yep.
We are in the process of closing it now. We're about 20%, I guess, closed down. And that is the final, right, it did have just a big, great piece of plastic over it. Plastic being, like the thickness of bleach bottle type plastic or better. It's like 80 mils, and the garbage bag is 1.5 mils, so. Once they put that plastic over the top of it, and the sod is planted and what have you, the rainwater stops getting in to the pile. the leachate for which we spend, well, Catherine has the exact figures there, leachate disposal and leachate treatment, and the sewer charges is leachate. It's an inordinate amount of money. But it's
Leachate
just,
disposal is 207,000, leachate hauling is 40,000, almost 41.
leachate hauling is the amount that we pay to the, the treatment plant. There is no haul, per
Is
se.
this contract, you have to send an email, did you send that to all of us so we can?
I can.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, the budget, this is the operating committee, not the joint board. The operating committee recommended to send it to the joint board for a vote at the November 21st meeting. I have some questions about some of those line items there, but I voted in favor of moving it to the joint board in the interest of the discussion taking place at that meeting with all parties present.
Right.
Because this is just a microcosm of the entire joint board.
Right.
The tax credit that we enjoyed through the existing contract and agreement with the town of Concord, city of Concord, will be figured out at the end of December, and it'll be ready for payment on January or February. In the past, it was used to offset billing. I don't believe that our amount, well, we can't tell the amount because it's based on tonnage. So until we get the final figures. Joyce, do you know what the tax credit was for us last year? Any idea right off the top of your head? I think it was $12,000 or something like that. I think.
Through on our, oh, boy, I know what you're talking about, but I hate to quote a number because I don't know.
Yeah,
But
I mean, don't,
we
I
did
think
get
it was
it.
like, it wasn't giant money, but it is a credit and they take it off our bill.
Right.
The ash credit, the contract that has been approved here and voted on and approved at the co-op calls for an ash credit.
Mm-hmm.
The ash credit will go from April to November this year, and then from December to December in 2014, after which it ends. We should know by mid-December how much our ash credit is, but it's going to be in the neighborhood of $30,000.
Right.
Again, we have no past to go on, and in the past, we offset the building for the tax credit, or the billings for the tax credit, and it may get approved to do the ash credit the same way. Now, what I need to know is next week how we want to vote with our 6 votes at the joint board. Do we want it as a billing credit, or do we want cash money? The feeling at the OC was that cash money. Belmont, Concord, those that were pulling out, that after 2014, after January 31st, they're on their own for garbage. Or December 31st of this year, or 2014, they're on their own. So they're looking for cash money. That was my feeling, and they've got the most of the votes.
Yep.
So it might come back as a lump sum as opposed to as a billing credit. Billing credit would pretty much put that money right against the garbage line, which is where it came from to start with. And if they just send it to us as cash money or as a check, it goes into the Catherine unreserved fund balance?
No.
No?
General fund.
General fund. Okay, there you go. So we have to decide next week how we want the vote for that money to come in.
Okay, can I ask then if you will please email this to us?
I will.
That way we can all look at it, and next week we can make that decision a lot more informed than what I feel like.
If we have a choice between credit and cash money, I think we should get Tim's opinion on that.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody should have a way in on this. What is to our advantage? And that's why Dennis knew this money was coming back. If it comes back just the way it has in the past, then that would come right out of his garbage line. But if it comes back as a lump sum, no, it doesn't, so that's why garbage line is as high as it is.
Yeah. Okay,
He had to go worst case scenario.
well, I'm gonna do all your hard work justice if I've read it, then I can be here and inform
Okay.
people and give you a proper answer.
Now, as far as the Wheelabrator contract, we approved its signing. There is a couple of crossing the Ts and dotting the Is. The contract is yet to be finalized, but everything is just the way we voted on it.
Right,
So the signing of it should be shortly.
okay.
We also got the restated co-op agreement that'll have to be signed. This is going to be, there's a number of changes, but we've created two different groups within the co-op. There's we'll call it Concord, but it's not just Concord. There's the Concord crowd and the Tilton crowd. Tilton crowd's going forward with the restated agreement, and we get the ash credit and so on and so forth. We're responsible long-term. Concord is not getting the ash credit. They're not going forward at this point, but they're responsible every bit as much long-term and more responsible than anybody else, but it is done by tonnage, and they're far and away the largest tonnage. So that will be voted on as well on November 20th. No, I don't know if that'll be voted on the 21st. I think that'll be the following meeting, but I'll get a copy of that to you, to everybody, and send it. Next, I go to a garbage and recycling complaint on Daniel Drive. Last week, 10 days ago, Thursday last, 7 days ago, somebody noticed that the garbage truck threw the recycling and the purple bags in the back of the same truck.
I had that told to me several times,
Well,
and I witnessed it at my house.
as it turns out, there's a perfectly plausible explanation. They didn't, at the time, have a split truck in this area. That's why we didn't have a split truck. Remember, originally we had the split body truck thing that we were gonna bring on the warrant article, but oh my goodness, the cost of that, the hauling cost was huge, and we withdrew the warrant article. Well, Casella seems to think that considering the amount of MSW, that using a split body truck, they can cut our MSW pickup, and as a consequence, we would be able to renegotiate the contract for picking up the garbage. It's a split truck.
So why were we recycling?
It doesn't go in, it's split. The recycling goes in one part and the
I guess
MSW
I'm
goes
not
in the other.
following you, so why is it that they've been throwing recycling and garbage in the same truck? They
Because
knew
the
that-
truck is split. It doesn't go in the same hopper. It goes in the same truck. Half the truck is MSW, but half the truck is recycling. And when the recycling fills up, they bring it to Route 140, dump it, and then go out and pick up MSW again and recycle.
I'm following you, so what we're
It's a
seeing
test.
is it's all going,
To see if it's feasible for them.
but
It isn't.
that's wrong. They should not be doing that.
Well, perception, and they see it going into the back of the truck, and it's like, hey, wait a minute. Knowing that, I know those split trucks
All
are
my
out there.
garbage went into the same hopper. I don't care if, can't tell you if it was split or not. But he threw all my trash in the same place,
Yep, in the back of the truck.
in the same place. But the point is, I think we lose sight of the fact that Casella is a profit-making company. They're not in the business of being environmentalists. And most
They're
people,
in
when
the
they're,
business of fulfilling the contract, and they're trying to do it in the most cost-efficient manner for themselves,
thank you.
which is not throwing away garbage or
Most
throwing away
people-
recyclables, because they sell it.
Most people think that our recycling project is an environmental project, and it's not.
It's both, but it's primarily financial.
It's Casella making the best buck they can. You can't blame them, that's what they're in business for, but
We're trying to lower our costs as well, and if we can lower the hauling costs and cut another $50,000 out of our waste budget overall, hallelujah. Now that said, Mr. Tweedy informed me that the task was not as successful as they had hoped, and that they were, he says, we're going to pull that truck out of service and go back with the one that dumps it over the top. He says, it might come back if we can figure out a way to make it work, but as it stands right now, they're going to the other truck. But that's why it went in the back of the same truck.
Right.
So, that said, there was somebody who had called in, and I called the individual, the information that I had, and I did get in touch with him, and he said he had absolutely no idea what I was talking about. I have no clue. I had a very specific name, I had a very specific phone number. The individual involved said that he didn't call, doesn't know what I'm talking about, has no knowledge of the whole situation. Okie dokie. But that's the answer to that particular question. I'm ever so sad that this is not smoother, and Lord knows it would be that much easier if it was. But there is the garbage recycling complaint answer. Lastly, but not leastly, certainly, is perambulation. I've been waiting on this and waiting on this. There's a stone missing over at the far end of Pest House Road.
Right.
Whatever, I forget the name of the road when it gets over there.
Range Road,
Grange Road.
the whole thing is Range Road, but we affectionately refer to that as Pest House Road.
Once it gets over to the Franklin line, it becomes a different road altogether. It has a
Yeah.
name.
It has a name.
But right up to the stone marker that is not in place, because whoever riding that road just pushed the marker and everything right into a big jumble mountain of rocks. Without that final marker, it can't finish the perambulation report. I saw Elizabeth Dragon. I love Elizabeth Dragon. And Brian is the guy's name, he's supposed to be getting in touch with me. We have a piece of granite. All we have to do is place it, carve a T and an F in it. I got a cold chisel and everything, a 3-pound mallet that I love to swing. So it's a matter of, once we get the date set up with these people, is that either authorize me or authorize Catherine, Pat, whoever, somebody's got to go out there, measure with the little stick from the other stone, and with the representative from Franklin say it goes right there. And because it has to be official, then I can finish the perambulation report.
Document that has to be filled out.
And, well, it didn't when we put up the one with Sanderton. We've installed two. One fell over and we put it, two fell over and we put them back up. One got washed away and we took the old Tilton Selectmen stone and put it in its place. Karen over and I both stood there and said, it goes right there. Because it does, we have pictures of it from a lot of angles,
Okay.
and it goes right there. I mean, it's not like,
So this new one, it sounds like you have to determine the location.
we're going to have to determine if we do
That's
not
why you have to
have
fill out
a
the form.
reliable picture that would indicate where it is, just the compass readings. We
Oh, I
have,
might,
huh?
I might. We have pictures from the last perambulation.
Well, I've got those pictures. Fact is, they widened the road. They took out the stone
Oh,
wall and
I
everything
see, I
else,
see.
pushed it back 12 feet or
I see.
15 feet, and made a big jumble of rock. Everything's different than what
Oh,
was
that's the one you talked about before, somebody went out
That's
there with an
right.
excavator, it wasn't just four-wheelers and.
Oh, no, it wasn't
This was
four-wheelers.
somebody who
Somebody did
actually-
work on the range road. I still don't know what that's about. I'll pursue that another day, but they destroyed the town marker. Whoever did that. Didn't realize it was there and just plowed it back. So we have to replace it. I have a exact 921 feet along Range Road from the site of the other marker, and I took the wheel that Dennis has, and I walked off 921 feet, because the road was still completely different, and I looked under rocks, and Kyoko tried to help me, and there was no finding that stone. So we had to put a new one. We've got it. He'll call me, we'll get together. Might not be till spring if this keeps going, because the ground gets frozen 90 feet down.
Yeah.
So there you have it. There's Selectman Jessamyn's reports.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
All right, because of the hour, why don't we go ahead and we'll have the gentleman here in the property liabilities come up and tell us what they want to tell us, and then we'll go back to our other things afterwards. Come up and have a seat.
I'm gonna print something and sit down. I don't know if you remember back when we were doing all the improvements at our police department, remember Ron? Okay.
I think we've had.
We have that. And Scott, we haven't seen too much because he's an office guy, but he also, whenever we have any questions about the police department liability, he's the one I call.
So I don't know if we have the right information in front of you. Okay. So, I think Joyce has invited us to come up and kind of go over where the increases were and an explanation for the increases for 2014. So I will start with the workers' comp program. And with what we've done with the workers' comp program is whereas Tilton is a January renewal group, we are moving all of our groups to a July renewal as we do with our property liability program. So with that being said, the period of January 1st, 2013 through June 30th, 2014, your rate remains the same as it was currently this year. So I do have a rate exhibit for that, which was not included in your budget, which shows a half-year projected bill from 1/1/13 through 6/30/14. You'll see that is based on the same values and the same class codes and the same rates for that period of time, and does include the package credit, the trim credit, as has always been given to the town of Tilton. The next piece that you saw in your rate letter was talking about what the rate was going to be from the period 7/1/14 to 6/30/50. And you noticed that there was an increase between those 2 years, increase of just about $9,900, almost $10,000 increase. And the reason for that is based on the BSR hearing and the results from the hearing officer, we have not been able to continue with providing the package credits for participation in every program. That the lines have had to be separated, and we're no longer able to provide those package credits, as well as a rebalance in the program, and there's a 10% increase because the credits went away. So, with that being said, the program, you're doing very, very well in the program. If you look at contributions versus claims paid for a 5-year period, you paid in just over $277,000, and we've only paid out $5,500 in claims, which is exceptional, which still keeps your modification factor at a 0.74. So really the explanation for the increase is the package credit goes away, and to rebalance the program to make it sustainable, we had to put in a 10% increase. Now, the projected contribution at the bottom of that rate exhibit for that period of time is with regards to the current values of the program. So if the payroll remains the same and nothing changes with regards to those positions, that is what the current contribution would be for that period of time, for 7/1/14 through 6/30/15. Well, like I said, your experience modification and the experience that you had with the workers' compensation program has been exceptional. We typically look for an experience modification of a 1 or less, and you're at a .74, which is extremely good. If you have any questions with the information I just provided to you, or if you'd like me to move on to the property liability program.
Maybe there's something I don't get. We paid in $270,000. You paid out $5,500,
That's correct.
and because we've got such a good record, our rates only go up 10%.
That is correct.
I
It's
wish we had that barrel here, Captain.
You know,
That sounds harsh to me, gentlemen.
and I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all, but some of the efficiencies that we've had in the program over the years of being able to provide the credits that we were able to provide based on good experience, we're no longer able to do because of the hearing officer's recommendations and findings. So that's where the increases come, because we have to rebalance the program, taking all of those credits away and make the program sustainable so it functions on its own, and in doing so, there has to be a 10% increase to rebalance the program. As sad as it is, I don't disagree with you. It's happened across the board to our entire membership.
So we're not the only one getting 10% slapped on us.
Absolutely not. There's many with much higher increases than 10%.
How did you come up with the amounts in the workman's compensation program exhibit page that shows the payroll class, prescription, the rate, estimated payroll, and total? Where did you get the estimated payroll from? Because I'm looking at road construction, which I assume is our public works, and I've got snow removal. The only road construction project Tilton had this year, we subcontracted out. Our highway department does very little road construction, so why would we have that rate? And why would it represent a $228,000 payroll?
That's the payroll that was reported over on the audit of your highway department's payroll.
But was it described as road construction, or do you just assign that in general?
We assign that based on the NCCI codes for the workers' compensation program, which is the standard of the industry. So those are the codes that a good portion of your time is road construction, normal public works employees doing their normal everyday jobs.
But don't you use actual?
That is actual payroll.
No.
I'm sorry.
Actual time spent. I've been Dawson's Concrete for over 30 years, and I know how my workman's comp works. And it's, the first year's an estimate, because, they don't know, but after that, it's how much I report for each activity.
This is what's reported to us from the town.
So we reported that we had $228,000 worth of payroll in road construction.
That is correct.
We submit, they take it directly from our 941s, okay? Every employee is assigned a payroll code. For employees in the highway department, they have 2 codes. I have to go get the
I can see
numbers.
that, road construction
Okay, so
and snow
then-
removal.
Right, so because those are the closest workers' comp codes that coincide with what they do. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't done this, we have a finance person now who does this.
Yep.
But I think the split was 70-30.
It pretty much is.
70-30, okay?
So
we take this raw.
I understand
Okay.
this. My question to you is why do we have more codes? Because that's my next question.
Why don't you what?
Why do we have just road construction and snow removal? What covers our director, who really spends more time in the office gathering estimates and doing paperwork?
That comes under municipal employee, so we get directed.
Why wouldn't that come under clerical?
Because it's not clerical. That's the NCCI codes, which we have no control over. It's the
I
standard
know
of the industry.
those codes, but there are
That's
lots of
where-
them.
That's what we classify a public works worker. It's under municipal employee, because it's a less rate than what you'll see as road construction, because we know that the public works director isn't out there and sometimes maybe out there laboring with the staff, but 90% of the time, if not more, is in the office working on engineering plans, construction plans,
Wow.
service plans.
So road construction also takes care of mowing in the parks.
Sure.
Where do you have?
Okay, so
where
it's
do you
not
have
all
mechanic?
roads, Catherine.
I know this. Where do you have mechanic? I know what they're doing. It's a general heading.
Yeah.
I've had this argument for 30 years, and
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
won some of them.
We must not have a mechanic that's being reported over to us as a specific mechanic. It must be being reported over as a highway employee.
So we need, do we have that classification to use?
We have a classification of auto mechanic, absolutely.
Okay, so we could, I mean, Art repairs he's the mechanic.
Right, but he also drives truck, he also does everything.
But it's how much time is he spending repairing vehicles, repairing equipment? He is the mechanic. 80% of his time is spent there, so 80% of his payroll should be reported as a mechanic and it's not here. So that's up to us to report to you.
That is correct.
Okay.
And we're more than willing to make those adjustments. Like I said, this
Okay.
is an estimated projection. So if there are changes that need to be made with regards to the class codes, we're more than happy to work with Joyce, the finance person, or whomever to make those adjustments too.
Right, and also these class codes, these employees have been with these codes since I've been here. The only one I believe I ever questioned was with the, some clerical and dispatch. But it didn't really make any difference because they're both the same.
Same way.
rate.
But we're more than happy, Catherine, to take a look and make those adjustments if there are adjustments to be able to be made.
That would be great because quite frankly, I don't think we did any road construction. Those guys did no road construction.
Sidewalks.
No, we didn't do any sidewalks this year. Next year's in the budget.
Pole patch, they clean,
Catch basins?
well, they were the
No, we
company that does
subcontract
that.
catch basins out, we subcontract street sweeping. They mow, the cemeteries, maintain the cemeteries.
They
I mean,
do
there's-
limbs and weed whacking.
They were running equipment in our most, on our paving project.
For what, 4 days? No, 3 days.
Well, it's certainly not
But the
this.
point is what are they spending 90% of their time doing? And they're not spending 90% of their time doing road construction. They're not even spending 50% of their time doing road construction.
Well,
So if there are other codes available to us,
would you go by a job?
that would help us. And then, of course, the other question is, if there are, how much different is the rate from road construction?
We definitely could take a look at that.
That would be
That's how the town
So
wants
like
it.
just a general labor, like raking, sweeping, mowing is different from
I don't,
maintaining roads and
I don't have
sidewalks?
the codes in front of me, so I can't
Typically.
definitely tell you right now, Joyce, but we definitely can take a look at that. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank
Excellent.
you very much.
The one. Thank you.
It is amazing though that road construction, that category that rate is so much higher than say police officers.
Well, they're out there in front of street rollers and asphalters and all kinds of equipment. They can run right over them.
Well, if they were doing that,
Beehives,
yes.
toes.
So
Trying to
what
think of
happens
some of
with
our
that,
claims.
is you bring up a very good point, Joyce, is that obviously road construction is higher than a firefighter, it's higher than a police officer. Most people would sit around and say, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Police officers out there day and night, life in the line of duty, and the reason for that is actuarially, looking at our pool, this is where the numbers lay out, is we're paying out more based on frequency and severity for public works employees than what we are for police officers. That's why there's the differential in rate.
I get snow removal, but municipal employee, isn't that like Joyce?
That's some jack of all trades.
Municipal employees is where your public works director is classified. Because we realize that that person's not out doing the labor with, in some cases they probably are, but in most cases they're behind the desk, they're working on engineering plans, they're working on road development, they're working on what the service plan that the public works department is going to apply to the town for that week period of time.
Wasn't there like a non-municipal employee
I would have to check.
category before?
I can check.
I'm gonna pull mine.
There there should be a category for the guy that just goes out and pretty much runs a wheelbarrow and rake, and isn't qualified to run heavy equipment, doesn't have a CDL. He's the gopher guy.
And we can dig into that
That
further.
would be excellent, yeah.
Absolutely.
There typically is.
Absolutely. I'm not, this isn't set in stone by any means, is that there's always, if the town reports back to us, that there needs to be class code changes. We can make those class code changes as long as there's documentation to back that up.
Now, what would you need for documentation?
Job descriptions.
And then the public works director breaking down tasks.
Hours worked.
Yes,
Out of 20,080 hours
right,
in a year, how much time is spent mowing?
versus plowing versus road construction. Yeah.
That'd be great, because that is a high rate. When was the last time these rates changed?
Excuse me?
Did these rates change every year?
These rates change,
These are the base rates
these are the base rates.
for every member group.
Absolutely correct.
So, what do they go, I remember for a while there was like 9, we had a 3-year 9, 9, and 9, it was capped at 9%.
That's right,
Okay, so when was the last time there was a major change in these rates?
this year.
Just this year?
That's
So there
correct.
hasn't been in the past?
That's right. So if you took the sheet that I gave you, Joyce, for the half year,
Yeah.
you'll
Makes
notice
sense.
that the rates are different than
Yeah.
what they are in some cases.
And why are they higher for a half year? See, this is, tell me, half year for which year?
Can I just say that one for a second? I'm sorry. All right, this is the period from 1/1/13 through 6/30/14. So for example, road construction, the rate was adjusted down. The rate last year was 11.77. It's adjusted down to 10.23.
Okay, so, all right, those
So-
are last year's rates.
This is correct.
Okay,
Which is what is being billed forward, so there's no increase on these rates for that period of time. Plus, you get the package credits for that period of time,
okay, you just confused me.
okay?
Okay. These rates here
Right.
are for what months? January?
7/1/14
7/1/14.
through 6/30/15.
Okay, I think I understand now. Remember cop?
Fire chief.
Fire chief. Okay. 7/1/14
What is that?
6/30/15.
to 6/30.
You got the law.
Correct.
All right, so the rates that we pay from 1/1/14 to 6/30/14 are those rates,
Correct.
which are the current rates.
That is correct,
Okay.
including the package discounts.
Okay. So now you're saying it's a 10% increase, but the rates have gone down
And the credits have gone away.
and the credits have gone away.
That's correct, and that's where the 10%
That's
discount,
fine.
increase comes in, is from taking the credits away, we have to rebalance and
Balance.
establish the program.
Okay, it's kind of counterintuitive.
Yes, it is. So with the property liability program,
And that's also
I'm sorry.
using our current modification factor of 0.69
on,
Of the 6 months.
on the 6 months.
yes, and the new one is using the 0.74.
And the 0.74 is based on our claims, actual claims experience from what period to what period? Why did we go up from 0.69 to 0.74? You just said we did a great job.
You do. That period is from,
You do 3 years or 5 years?
5.
5 years.
This is a period of 1/1/08,
Which one, the 69?
The 7.
the new rates.
The new rate is from,
So we took claims from 1/1/08 through 12/31/12 with an evaluation date that was provided of 6/30/13. So that's when it was run through the actuarial model
okay,
in order to provide these rates on sustainability for the program.
and then this one is the 69, the one that we're doing now, our current is based on what, one?
That was based on the old evaluation that was done prior to 2010. Reliability Program, again, you're seeing just about a $9,000 increase with an experience modification of 1.21. Now, with this program, the 5-year contributions have been $243,239, and claims have been paid out are $255,185. So that shows us that there is a 104% loss ratio. So it's been 4% more than you've paid into the program than we've paid out.
How many years back did you go?
That evaluation period is from 7/1/07 to 6/30/12. So what that shows us with regards to your claim charts on that is out of that $255,000, there's been $140,316 paid in auto liability claims, which says to us there's an issue with driving with regards to the town's operators.
This is just automobiles?
That's correct. $140,316 is auto claims. And out of your total claims, so out of $255,000 worth of claims, $192,545 are directly related back to the police department. And those claims date back to 2007, 2008, which means next year, when we're looking at the experience, is those run off the claims charts. So those claims will now lose. So we look at, which is a really good thing. Because as
Especially because they're playing bumper cars out there.
because as it relates
One of the
to,
poles that was in the parking lot.
yes.
They kept hitting?
So our program, this is the first year, as the letter stated, that our program is based on experience, which is the modeling of the industry. So you pay for what you have, and you pay for the claims that are the responsibility of the town. So, looking at that, like I said, it's a 104% loss ratio. And the reason for the increase in your program with this, because there actually was a 5% reduction in rates for the property liability program, but based on the experience, that's where you see your $9,000 increase.
So are we losing the advantage of being in a pool?
Not at all.
Okay.
You're gaining the advantage if your experience is down. Can you implement loss control procedures, driving programs, and do all the things that we recommend, that Ron's department recommends to do? We're hoping that we're bringing your losses down so that you're paying only for those that you experience. As the program set before, Joyce, is you may have had great experience, but you were paying for the pool's losses. This way, each member pays based on their experience.
Okay.
So somebody was paying for us.
Somebody in the past may have been paying some of your experience, absolutely.
All right, now here's a question, because when I get
Send the
claims,
police to driving school.
Which I'm sure Ron will have some recommendations.
Absolutely.
Based on what we evaluate, or what Ron's department evaluates as being cost containment strategies to reduce that experience.
so when we get claims reports, every now and then I'll get them, and for both workers' comp and property liability, and I'll stick them in the FYI folder. One of the things I've noticed is that it will show what we've actually paid out, and it will show another number, which is money that's like held out in reserve. So when you're doing our experience, are you looking at what's actually been paid out, or what you've had to because some of these things don't get settled right away?
What we're looking at is, we're looking at what's paid, what is been collected through any subrogation, the reserve, which creates the total net incurred. So all the rates are based on the total net incurred, which sums out to a total ultimate loss projection. And that's what the actuaries use as the numbers to calculate those figures.
So the 9,000 increase then is because we no longer get discounts, and because the accident ratio is
Your experiences, yeah,
Right.
your experiences.
experience, oh, well, that's a very
Experience.
polite
That's
word.
Your experiences are up.
Right.
We Because to be completely honest with you,
Our police
Since
experiences are up.
2007?
2007, 2008, if I look at your experience, 10, 11, and 12, you've got great experience.
It's great.
It's that 1 year that will drop off next year because the standard of the industry
Yeah.
is 5 years of claims. Your rates, you'll see a decrease in your rate next year if your experience continues to go as it's doing today.
So lately, they're doing good stuff.
Oh, we'll continue.
I-
There was an anomaly that occurred back
Something,
then.
I wasn't here for that, so.
And it was before my time.
So, you know, if you really look at that, $140,000 of 255,000 was 1 year. So if you look at 9, 10,
You don't have to
11,
explain
and
that
12,
much.
4 year
That's
history,
a
you're looking
lot.
at
That's
$100,000.
totally all
Points.
sorts of
They
cars.
must have really been playing bumper cars that year.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, I get it.
So that's the explanation for the increase in the property liability program. And, you know, like I said, there was a 5% reduction in the rates, but based on the experience modification and the claims that have shown with the loss ratio, that's the answer for the increase.
So we have bought them smaller cars.
You know, I can tell you that, you know, your police department claims in the last 3 years have been minimal
Yeah,
in comparison to what we see in our book of business.
yeah, they do, they really do very well.
They do, they absolutely do.
So this also includes the defense costs.
That is correct. And one thing I will say that I heard from the claims department today is they are so happy with the participation that the town of Tilton Board of Selectmen and yourself, Joyce, have on the ratification of claims when things have to be settled. We don't get that from a lot of groups, that they are engaged in the process and understand the process. So I compliment all of you on that. And that was mentioned to us today by the claims director.
We
So-
see you as partners.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we like to do.
Because it's
We are.
really based, you know your town best, and we're working off of what you know best, and what our attorneys and our claims adjusters are saying, what's the best deal for ratification? And it works really, really well with the council.
Well, we'd like the reps that we've dealt with and the representation.
I mean, Kathy Casey was saying what a great relationship she had with you, Joyce, on working through some of the cases and how they were ratified, so that's all happening. in the-
Joyce is our treasurer, and trying not to let people know what they do with treasures, they come and try to
You
steal
know,
them.
when people ask me, well, what do you do? What is a town administrator? Do you like the mayor or something? And I say, oh, God, no. That's selectmen.
Would you like to
I
be?
said, I'm risk management, that's what I do.
Oh.
I manage risk, I'm always looking.
She makes us look good.
Yes.
She does.
So that's the explanation.
Yeah, that's what it is.
You know, Ron's department is, and has been working with, whether it's Bobby in the police department or the highway department. We've been working with
The
all those
trainings for the fire
agencies. So,
department.
I think,
We should take more advantage of all the trainings that you offer, it's just a time thing.
absolutely.
And that's one of the advantages that we get from being a member of a pool instead of we went out on the open market, is they're not gonna come in and do training for us.
And we bring
Are
everything
there
to
any that
you at
do?
your time.
Not unless there's a
At your
cost.
time.
Oh,
And remembering that all the training we provide, all the service we provide, there's no additional cost for any of that. And really what we're trying to do is expand our web platform, our online learning platform, so we understand the restrictions that, you know, all facets of local government have, and being able to travel to Concord for training or take 4 hours out of a day. So we're trying to, you know, look closer at that and provide additional programming so that staff can do some online training as well.
And your fire department just spoke to me about in the future setting up a chainsaw safety program, which we have done a few years ago, but it's time for a
Oh, I
refresher.
could use that refresher. Took mine out over the weekend and frightened myself.
Well, I learned many bad habits, unlearned many bad habits, but I took it.
Don't disengage your brake,
Well,
chain
how
brake.
it started properly, so.
You don't rest on your knee.
And then when you talk to your department heads, just let them know, I mean, we come to you, I mean, that's what we do. But we work around your time frame, so if you have some quiet time or nighttime at the fire department, because mostly volunteer, paid call, we bring it to them around their convenience.
um,
Joyce, I'll leave this with you, because this is the most current claim chart
Okay, that'd be great.
and claims, and share it, as you see.
Now,
The rest-
this is for all members, all groups, or just?
That's your group.
That's,
Our
that's
group.
just, that's council.
From 7/107 through 6/34. Those are the claims that have been experienced. And you'll see I have some notes on one of the pages that represents contributions versus claims paid, so
Yeah.
that's fine.
Just another question, our finance director, Tim Pearson, he's great.
I have not met him.
He reviews all our contracts, he also is our numbers cruncher, and he's also the one that decides when bills get paid.
Yeah?
So, he and I will have a lot of, I tried reading this, and I'm gonna have to sit down and read it with him on,
I'm happy to come back up if you
Well,
want to
that's what I
sit
was
down
thinking.
with him and
before we
I.
can make a recommendation to the
And we can
board.
go through that, and because you'll see something different that we're doing this year. As with the health program, we've always asked for transmittals to be signed, saying that you acknowledge that you're going to participate in the program. You'll see in that document that you have that they're same type of thing, a transmittal is being asked to be signed as well.
And the other thing that, because it's confusing because we're trying to switch to a fiscal year. And each of our insurances, health trust, and workers' comp, and unemployment comp, and property liability all have different calendar years and fiscal years. So you're trying to bring it all to a fiscal year, but you're trying to do a 2-year, actually, you're trying to do a half a year and 2 years, or you're trying to do 18 months?
18 months.
18 months.
But we don't want to burden the town with having to develop an 18-month, to budget for 18 months.
Okay.
So there's payment options in there that takes it from the 1/1/13 to the 6/30/14 that can be paid for.
Okay,
And then you can pay from the 7/1/14
yeah,
to the end of that year.
yeah,
And then the next year would be a full payment.
okay.
So there's semi-annual payments that are included in those options.
Okay, so to lock in those rate locks, or those caps, if the board were to decide, say, we want to shop around,
Yep.
we would have 45 days before July 1,
For the expiration of that, that's correct.
okay, and then say, okay, well, let's wait, let's try it, and then we would have another 45 days before July 1 of 2015.
You would have, so the program would start 7/1/14, you would have 45 days prior to 6/30/50.
6/30.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, we understand that you have a responsibility and your due diligence is to shop around, and we would encourage you to. And if you need your claim
You're not locking in for
census,
2 years. You're not locking in for 2 years.
you're locking in for that 18-month
For
period.
that
For
18-month
18
period,
That's correct.
okay, I understand. 'Cause
And
when I first got the letter, and I was so glad that Ron had called before I received this, because I knew a letter was coming.
Yeah.
Because I talked with Scott, our health trust, saying, come on, we're trying to finalize our budget here, when am I gonna find out what the rates are? They're working on it, from what I hear, they're working on it. And so I appreciate the call, because, as soon as I told the selectmen, they go, get on the phone and start calling around, it's like, oh, I don't do that right now, like, give me a couple of months, we need some time.
you have time, like I said, the rates are the rates, there's no increases for that first 6 months. If you're going to, call around and ask for quotes for that first 6 months, that's great. Ask us for a claim census. We'll provide you the 7-year claim census. If you're gonna go to Primex, they're gonna want 7 years to evaluate your losses, and we can provide that 7-year claims history for you. Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that you came to explain all this to them, because it's not easy.
And I'm more than willing to come up and sit with you and the finance director. We can go through that letter and break it down and dissect it so that you fully understand the different components of it.
Okay, because we need to get numbers to the selectmen and the budget committee. When are you presenting your final budget to the budget committee?
I believe it's the 11th.
Of December?
Mhm.
Okay, so we got a little bit.
I'm pretty
No.
sure it's the 11th, isn't it? Catherine?
I'm not sure.
I can stop
Wait,
this.
I can tell you, I got my.
And then we can also, he can print out the report and tell you which employees have which codes, because he has those all plugged in our payroll system. And then we can look at job descriptions, we can talk to the department heads, bring that back to the selectmen, and then I'd like to get that done before we sit down.
Yep, and I'll go back and see
Yes.
what
December 11th.
Yep,
some of the other codes are.
it is the 11th.
And if there's any additional information that you need, please don't hesitate to give me a call. I can stop in, I can drop it off, we can email it to you, whatever you need for additional information, we'll provide.
Okay.
One last question, so how did the conference go?
Conference went very well. There was about 479 attendees. It was set up a little different this year. There was a different feel to it.
Yeah, you were vendors instead of.
Right,
We
it
were.
was weird for, it was a little weird for us.
It was
Yes.
different. But I think the sessions went very well. The exhibit hall was very well attended. So I think for the first year moving in this direction, it was very good. It was excellent.
Somebody else have any questions that Tim and I can
Thank you very much.
get through?
Oh, thank you. No, it's really just kind of maintenance. I'm looking at, we have 23 vehicles,
Do we now have-
but I don't know. Why, thank you, sir.
And actually, Joyce, you'll be, I'm sorry, not the square, I think you'll be getting Lara Cole
Oh, so she's, oh, good.
as your new advisor.
Oh,
And,
Some other news I have for you is Scott DeRoche will not be servicing the Tilton account because he's got a promotion.
he was just here this week.
He was. His promotion will take effective December 22nd.
Oh, I just sent him 2 emails.
No, that's okay.
Continue to do so.
He's still
Continue
going to
to
be
do so.
servicing the account up to December 22nd. Our hope is to hire somebody to fill that position prior to Scott moving over to a different department. And Scott will make the introduction of the new benefits advisor. If that doesn't happen prior to Scott's departure, Melissa Briggs.
Good, Melissa's still there?
Yep, Melissa's with us. She's my assistant manager for benefits, and she'll be taking the account until we do get somebody filled.
All right, so
But we're not,
for this open enrollment period, to
Scott
set
will
up.
be there.
Okay, good.
Scott is gonna be there through this full renewal.
Okay, good.
So,
And where is he going?
he is going over as an assistant manager for ancillary products. So FSA, health awareness, and some of those pieces, which is, we're very proud of him. He's grown leaps and bounds since he's come with the organization. He's a very dedicated, he's a very knowledgeable individual, and he's deserves the promotion that he has received. So we're very proud of him, what he's done. But no worry through open enrollment. You'll have him. If we don't have somebody, you'll have Melissa.
Good, because there, a lot of questions come up with the whole healthcare, Affordable Health Care Act, and, you know, you guys have been very proactive on, you know, keeping the members informed and making sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing.
The next thing you're going to hear on the Affordable Care Act is a term skinny plans. We currently don't have any, what the government would consider to be skinny plans. You'll start hearing about those. We are going to start working on developing some. I'm not sure they're going to be a cost-effective plan for any one of our groups, but we'll be working on that and we'll have more information to you. So when you start hearing that term, skinny plans, you'll say, oh, start talking about that, and we'll wait for the information to come.
Okay.
Okay.
Skinny plan.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. We're just learning about it right now, and Dave Lauer, our benefits counsel, is really digging into it and looking at the IRS guidelines on that, so we'll be able to provide you with some full information and explanation for that program.
I don't know if you remember, but back when we were doing when we had the problems with the town hall, the air quality, and also with the police department, Cory Flanagan and Laura, were representatives that came and helped with that, and very good. So we get to keep them and stuff.
Yes, yeah, Kevin and Laura both on the side now. So Laura will be your advisor.
Starting Tuesday.
Tuesday.
All right, well, thank you so much for coming.
Sure,
in.
absolutely.
Our
It's
pleasure.
nice
We're
meeting
glad you
all.
invited us
Nice to
because
meet
we
you.
want to make sure everybody understands. And we
Right.
want to make sure you ask us for your help but I like the partnership. And that's what we are, we're partners. We want to make sure that anything with any control your risk. But you are doing a very good job, so that's why sometimes it's hard to say,
Deliver some bad
wait
news.
a minute. When I called you, she says, wait a minute, my mind is, wait, what? And I'm thinking, it's just, that's not going to go over well. will be there. Let us know we'll be there, so.
All
All right, you have a
Thank you very much.
good rest of the night. Our pleasure.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Can I steal a Butterfinger? Can I steal a Butterfinger?
Good to see you.
It's always a pleasure.
Always nice to see you.
And any
Thank you very
other
much.
selectmen question, the class codes?
Oh,
So I will get the questions answered.
so,
Joe, nice to meet you.
Nice meeting
Nice to meet
you.
you.
yes.
And as always, nice
Yeah.
seeing you again, because I think we've been working together about 20 years now.
Oh, at least.
Dan Howard.
Thank you.
Take care, have a good night.
He's a keeper.
All right, have a good
Keep your
night.
hands off our treasure.
Good night.
Good night, have a safe ride back.
Thank you.
Okay, Catherine, do you have anything tonight for the board?
I do, but before we leave the property liability trust,
Okay,
how often is this, chart examined, for example, do we really have 23 vehicles? Because that doesn't include loaders and those kind of things.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
vehicles
that's
registered to the
local.
road.
No, what I do is, and I can print it out for you right now, that, at least 30 days before the July renewal, I print out everything and I give it to the chief and I give it to Dennis. And I said, this is what was listed on our property schedule. These are all our vehicles. This is our mobile, and to Joanna because we had our sewer stations.
yeah,
And I said, these are the VIN numbers, this is the equipment. If anything's incorrect, get it back to me so I can send it to the insurance company.
right,
Because everything's done online.
yeah.
And,
And I'm looking at 17 full-time police.
Yeah.
Wow.
but if,
And we just hired two?
so I can print those, I mean, you can log on yourself and look at the schedule, so you'll see.
But I don't know how many vehicles we have. And I mean, but I was just curious how often that it was examined. Thank you, Joyce.
The other problem is my password is downstairs, so I'll have to do it from
Oh, that's
downstairs.
okay.
I don't know
That's
what my
okay, you
password
can
is.
email it to us.
And the building values, you approve the building values, the
Right.
value that,
Right, but I'm thinking of Business Park Drive. Is that still on there?
No,
or
that's
was that
off.
dropped off? Because that was, what, last year
Yeah,
Yep.
if you
or
drop some.
spring?
Mhm.
When did we finalize that sale?
February.
Yeah, so was it dropped off?
If I had my password, I'd go on right now and look. I'll do it before I leave, I'm
And
sure
then,
it
you
is.
know, we add.
Yeah, we added the
Beach
shed.
Street when we sold it, did we drop that off?
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to keep straight, keep all that stuff straight. Well, about a full board, there's a couple things I'm not gonna discuss. I sent the Board of Selectmen an email, I was gonna discuss the topic tonight. I had a conversation with, Tank Grelmo,
What did you send us in? I didn't even
oh, really?
know. No, I haven't.
I had sent an email to the budget committee, because that's what I was focusing on, and then I decided I would just talk about it tonight at the meeting, and then when I got to thinking about it, we probably have to do it in non-public because it might disparage somebody's reputation.
Okay,
So that's why I decided to send it out as an email.
I need to get it, I don't have it. I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, I will try to send it again. I have had the worst luck this week, sending out something is out there in cyberspace, but I don't usually send things in a horrible language. So really the only thing I have left is I need permission of the governing body to do a, I want to get the title right. It's RSA 147. It's a order for abatement costs pursuant to RSA 147:7B. What it is on October 29th, I received a call from one of the sewer commissioners, Commissioner Fogg. He was a resident on 29 Chestnut Street where they were having sewage, raw sewage flowing into the basement. And it has been a problem that they've been having for a number of weeks. It's not being addressed by the property owner. not able to handle it themselves. The sewer commissioner arrived on scene, examined it, called me. I made an attempt to contact the property owner after about maybe a minute and a half conversation. The phone call was disconnected and the property owner did not answer 2 attempts I made to reconnect. There's a maintenance person there, or across the street, is my understanding from the building. Contacted him, told him what was going on at the building. There was more conversation, but that's probably not public, but the essential part of it is, it told him what was going on at the building, asked if he was aware. He was not, and I asked him to go across the street to make contact with Commissioner Fogg. He did not. So we made an attempt to notice, and because of the seriousness of the offense, this is a, I'm sorry, I've done so many things tonight, my brain is, this is a, order without notice. There was no notice to the owner, there was only an attempt. So you go through this process that's described in 147:7B to collect it. Essentially, there's a lot of steps to follow. They have to be done in the absolute order correctly. You can't mess up. And what happens is it's collected as taxes. So if the property owner refuses to pay, it can go, and I say it can, because he has a 30-day period of which he can object and could go to court. But essentially, it's collected as taxes. If he refuses to pay, it gets sent down to the tax collector. It can become a lien on the property, and then it's just like taxes. If they don't pay, they can lose the property. But I need to get permission of the governing body to go forward with it, because there's a possibility it could end up in court.
I was gonna say, if this is something, a mess that he's got in his basement, does this give you guys, give you, as a health officer, the capability of getting the mess cleaned up? Is that the charge that you put against him, or?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yes, that's what happened. I'm trying not to read my notes, because there's things in there that are not public. I didn't want to do this non-public. Yes, the rest of the story is, after I had failed to reconnect with the property owner, and the maintenance man did not go across the street and contact Mr. Fogg, the decision was made, because it was, you can't live in a home that has raw sewage flowing in the basement, and these people had no means of providing themselves with another place to habitate. Rowls came out, and I believe the other entity was fire cleanup, and they cleaned up the basement. Rowls discovered the problem in the pipe was quite a severe clog. So it's been fixed, repaired, if you will, and the basement was cleaned up, and I believe they finished up on the 30th, and they were able to get to do living there.
We are within our legal right to require that cleanup and to expend those money.
Yes, you're welcome to read it. It's quite a lengthy page of what happens. 147 is very specific. No, I wouldn't send it over the. Here is the order. What happens is you have 2 choices in 147. You have, there's a process you go through to notice the owner, and, successfully notice. Or you have, what we have done, because they didn't respond, is I'm looking for the exact term, a removal without notice. So there's a removal with notice. This is a removal without notice. The process is described in this 147:7B. In the case of removal without notice, a statement of what the nuisance or other danger to the public health was, and a statement of the circumstances justifying the removal without notice, a statement of what corrective action was taken by the municipality, an expense account of the municipality's costs and the corrective action, including the cost of issuing and serving orders under RSA 147:7A in this section, a statement that such costs constitute a lien against the real estate enforceable in the same manner as real estate taxes, including possible loss of the property for non-payment, and if no written objection is filed with the health officer within 30 days, the account will be committed to the tax collector. The address of the office of the health officer where any objection must be filed, and a copy of this section. The order shall be served upon the record owner of the property or such owner's agent, and upon the person to whom taxes are assessed for the property, if other than the owner, in the same manner provided for service of the summons in a civil action. And I talked to Lieutenant Martin about that today, and he felt it would have to be served in hand and not registered mail. Within 30 days of such service, any person served may file a written objection with the health officer stating with specificity the basis for the objection, and then if no objection is filed, then we go through the process of setting it down via the selectman's office as a warrant to be collected by the tax collector. And then the rest of it pretty much describes that process and what takes place if they do object, et cetera, et cetera. So, yes, this.
We are precisely in compliance
Yes,
with our part, right?
yes, yes, I've
Okay.
spent,
And I would make a
I spent the whole
motion,
day on this.
I would make a motion that we authorize Catherine to go forward with the rest of the process.
And that's the,
Order for abatement costs
Order.
between 1 to RSA 147:7B.
all right, I'll second that.
And this is, so let me see if I had a copy of the RSA for Catherine, after I realized I just read it.
And do,
This is, I've had 2 of these this week, although one was with notice and one was without.
what is the probability of incurring legal fees, and will we prevail?
To make a guess, I think we're going to be all set. I have the very precise times of when Mr. Fogg was contacted, 3:34 p.m., what time Rowell's, when he arrived on site,
When you
his
try get
attempt to
in touch with
contact
people,
the
when you got in
owner,
touch with the
my
people,
attempt to contact the owner, I'm getting a copy, I use my own cell phone, I'm getting a copy of my phone records. It's pretty well documented, the course of events, and because it is such a severe thing, I mean, you get raw sewage pumping into a basement
you know, that,
in a rental unit. That,
I assume you guys got pictures.
I don't know if you got pictures, I don't think so, because you have Ralph's testimony and you also
Okay.
have
Mhm.
fire cleanup, who actually did the cleanup
yeah, the
service.
homeowner is left.
Yeah,
And of course, the tenant.
the tenants.
So, and again, Mr. Fogg went down and did investigate it before. So I think, to answer your question, I think it's pretty well documented. Can you contest it? Absolutely, but will we prevail? I suspect we will, it's pretty heinous,
Yeah,
because the evidence I have from talking to the tenant, and evidently from the opinion of the experts that were there, is this was something that's been taking place for a while, and there was contact made a few weeks ago with the property owner. So who can project, but I got a feeling this will be all right.
What was the total of the invoices for the cleanup?
I have an approximate amount because some of them haven't come in. The total of the 2 companies, subcontractors that were called out is about $2,000.
Okay, I call the question.
all right, all those in favor?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. It's unanimous.
and the rest of it I'll
We
say.
want to do this.
Okay, the only thing I was gonna ask you is from the budget meeting the other night, and some of the conversation I was overhearing, I understand that you finished your report on the schools?
No,
Oh, it's not done?
oh, no.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say, I would love to read it when you get it done, because some of the things that I heard talked about left me.
Oh, I can copy those out for you. I mean,
Yeah.
good board of health, you get to know
Right.
that stuff.
No, I'd like to read.
And I don't, in fact, I don't think anything in it would be construed as non-public.
Okay.
No, none of it would be. No, I was out there, I believe, a week ago, Monday,
Mhm.
and toured the school with the principal and the director of facilities, Joseph Stone. Rob Seward is the new principal, and was very pleased at the improvements they've made.
Good.
Very, very pleased. There are still some areas that have to be corrected. And they assured me, in fact, one area is the emergency exits signage. They were going to do that in the summer, after the students have left. They're gonna be doing that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So they are cooperating beautifully, and it was a huge improvement. I will be out there next Wednesday, re-inspecting the fields, and then they'll call me for that, so then we'll get that completed. I have not gone back to the prep school because I want to get this one finished.
Okay. No, I was just gonna say, I wanted to read that because of the conversation we heard, but, you know, I also, it's kind of like with Al, I mean, we haven't had a report now from you since June, as far as what's going on.
Well, August should be in there.
I know you said you were gonna do one, but,
September
Oh,
too.
it was,
It's
it
in-
was
it's in
August,
there.
yeah, no, I grabbed all that stuff out because it was from 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's been.
But it's
in
on
there
my
a while.
desk, I saved it.
oh,
Yeah.
I didn't
And I've
know.
got September's.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
Was
don't
it
know, I put
August?
September's in there?
I thought that was September that was in there, or was it?
I don't know.
I saw
August and
August.
September. The one I haven't done is October.
Okay, it must be August and September. It looked like 2 pieces of
Yeah.
paper,
That's
more,
Well,
more
it
than
could
one
be,
piece of paper.
but
I was just gonna say, I like reading them, not because I'm trying to keep up with what you're doing, but when people ask me stuff this way, I
Well,
read
you
it.
should know,
And
What
because,
does a health officer do? I've had people ask.
Yeah.
well,
But
it's,
it's this way, you know, it's kind of like that time that Al was working on that building across the street, and, you know, people are saying these derogatory things to me, and I couldn't say anything because I didn't know what he was doing. You know, and I said, Al, if you want us to defend you, we gotta know what you're doing. And
well, the
so,
reason I make it as detailed as I do is because you are the Board of Health. And I
Right.
figure you should know what's going on in the community
And I
as
want
the
to
Board of
know.
Health.
Absolutely.
And as we move into, if we're successful with Ian, so that we can inspect these apartment buildings routinely, it's very important that you know what's going
Right.
on in the
I-
town, because
I agree
if
with you.
somebody objects to, if they object to this, they're going to appeal to the Board of Health. So
Right.
that's why it's so detailed. It may seem lengthy, but that's why I put the detail in it.
Yeah,
So
but-
you know, and trust me, I don't put everything in it, it's still in those
Yeah, but
files.
I mean, I think that, you know, we've all learned from past legal things that if you don't have the detail to back up what you're saying, you can't get anywhere.
And boy, do I have pictures, but yeah, I think October is the one.
Okay.
And it might be, I'll tell you right now, it might be a little bit before I have October's done.
All right, well,
It's
I
been
will,
pretty
I will
busy.
check with the town because obviously I missed it. All right, do you have anything else for us?
No, I'll hold it when we have a full board.
Okay, I just have a couple of things that I wanted to, first of all, the letter that we received from Mr. Sellers, I think we need to talk about this and respond to it. I don't know, have you all read the letter from Mr. Sellers? Well, I feel very strongly that if we respond to it, that we just tell him that we have looked at everything, we've read all the minutes. Anyways, my opinion, may not be yours, but it seems to me like Mr. Sellers is confusing this RSA. This really, in my mind, talks about public land, And the situation that's going on there is not public land, it's private land. And I read through the Conservation Commission's minutes, and I read through all the documents, both theirs and Mr. Sellers. And I really feel that this is just, that the Conservation Commission, I feel, has done their job. And that Mr. Sellers just, I don't know, he just needs to understand that, you know, when I read this RSA 43, you know, it's referring to public lands. So I don't know how you guys feel, but
Regardless of the civil nature of this complaint, is there any harm in giving him his public hearing? That's what it seems like he wants, is a public hearing,
Well,
even though it's of no consequence whatsoever.
I think so, because it's not necessary, it's not a requirement.
You know?
The Conservation Commission did exactly what they were supposed to do. They followed the law. He is suggesting that they did not.
Oh, well, I don't think they didn't follow the law. I don't think that's the issue in my mind, because I don't think they, in this particular instance, they were required to hold a public hearing. But is there any harm in having a public hearing if that's what one of our residents wants?
I think if we insist they hold a public hearing, we're accepting,
Without precedent, Catherine.
no, I would be absolutely against that, because I think that's agreeing with him that they did something wrong.
right.
I think we need to explain to Mr. Sellers, I mean, I can't imagine, he must be very frustrated with what's going on with his property and his neighbors. I'm sure his neighbors is frustrated as well.
But this
You know,
is
it's a hard
civil-
situation. We
And
need
that's my
to,
understanding.
I think we need to explain to him and back it up with RSAs and administrative rules, because I think that's what the combination is going to be. The process, when we get these permits from the Department of Environmental Services, they're giving them to us because they're required to,
Right.
but it's also a courtesy.
Yes.
We're not required to respond. It gives us an opportunity to respond. And the Conservation Commission got this, they looked at it and decided that it didn't affect the general public.
Right.
It's on a private road, and therefore, they chose not to respond.
Right.
They didn't have a public hearing because it didn't affect the general public, so why have a public hearing to garner input?
So they decided they have no
So they
authority here.
decided there was nothing to comment on. The selectmen could have commented on it as well.
And so could the planning board.
That's correct. So I think we really should just explain to him that the process, and that, in our opinion, the conservation did what they were required to and did not violate the law. That's what I think, and not, I think to be very careful not to pass judgment on, you know, whether Mr. Sellers is correct, or Mr. Hughes
Right.
is correct, and make no comment on, you know, how we think that should
It's
go.
a civil
Simply
matter that
address
to be addressed by
the
the court.
charge that the Conservation Commission did not hold a public hearing.
So this is the equivalent of me and the guy next door having a problem about my fence or his fence, and it's on one of our land, and it isn't public land of any sort. That's between me and the guy next door.
Correct.
Or the law allows you to call them the fence viewers, and the fence viewers are there to be mediators.
And the fence viewers have issued their opinion, and we have a written copy of that.
Yes, it really wasn't so much that we rendered an opinion, but we went there. I mean, the law does allow the fence viewers to say, okay, this is where we believe the boundary is, this is where we believe the boundary fence should be.
Yeah.
And that's not what happened in this case. They went there and acted as mediators.
Right.
And when we walked away, there was an agreement between the two parties disputing this boundary fence.
Right.
And unfortunately, it all fell apart.
Right.
Okay? I'm convinced.
But I think that we should just simply address the accusation that the Conservation Commission did not upheld the letter of
Because
the law.
according to my understanding of the RSA's, the Conservation Commission was in violation of nothing.
That's correct.
And I'm not a lawyer, as you know, but that's what I think.
Joyce?
This boundary fence, it wasn't abutting town-owned property.
No.
It wasn't abutting a town-owned public right-of-way,
Nope.
travel way,
Nope.
because so it's strictly on private property.
Right,
So there's really nothing public to comment on.
right.
Exactly.
Okay,
Correct.
that's the gist.
Exactly.
That and
That's
that
the
the,
gist of it.
and the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission, their role with dredge and fill permits applications, just cite what their role is in the statutes, and that they did not comment, because I don't know if it was his permit application, or if it was the abutters, I'd have to go back
I believe
and
it was
look.
the abutters
The
Yeah.
abutters.
application.
That they, were within their authority to not comment,
Right.
and there's no requirement, there was no reason for them to hold a public hearing on that application.
Right,
I mean,
because
the only instance I could have seen that they might have held a public hearing, if the runoff or drainage from that private area would have affected the town road or neighbors.
Right,
Or
But
if
it
they,
didn't.
or if they felt they needed more, it was a sensitive area and they wanted more information.
Exactly, but that
Right.
wasn't the case.
Right,
right.
They
okay.
recognized it as we do, as simply a
As a civ-
civil case
okay.
and a dispute between two neighbors.
So anyway, I guess it sounds like that we're all in agreement that that's the reply we should give to them. You know, we're not gonna say it's your fault or it's their fault or anybody's fault, it's just that it had absolutely nothing to do with it. Everything is on private land and it's a matter between him and his neighbor. You know, and there's nothing about it that would be considered
We
public.
have no authority.
Right. So, you know, and whether or
Our letter
not,
should state pretty much that, right?
yeah, that's correct. And as far as the DES, I mean, they have their reasons for turning down that project. Now, it is up to him and his neighbor and DES to, you know, with whatever DES has told them, they have to take that information and make those corrections, or whatever it is that's going to satisfy DES. You know, if they're not abiding by, if they did something that didn't go by the rules of DES, then that's something that they have to take care of. It's not something that the town would get involved with. All right, I have one more item that I'd like to talk to you guys
And
about.
I have some questions after that.
Okay. My other thing is, an individual came into the planning board and wants to start a taxi service. And we looked into it, you know, I figured if nothing else, there must be a lot of state things that they have to satisfy in order to do it. Well, I had Gus make some phone calls, and we did some collecting, and primarily, taxi cabs are whatever the town ordinance wants it to be. We did collect, we have the one from Franklin, and we got one from Northfield. Primarily, it's the town that sets the rules and regulations on what you want to see. The state doesn't regulate taxi cabs at all. They do, like the big limos and things like that, they have regulations, but nothing for taxis.
Nothing for livery, huh?
Right, so I
Seems
wanted
odd.
to talk to the select board, should we have some kind of a town ordinance or policy when it comes to taxi services? A lot of the towns that we looked into around us, it is a combination of town policy, and you get the police chief involved as far as whether or not he feels, you know, that they are qualified by looking at their record, you know, because,
Insurance, driver's
right,
licenses.
to make sure all that's in
Yeah.
place.
Yeah,
But I wasn't sure how the select board would feel about it, where you wanted the policy to come from. Do you want it to be a town policy? Because there is nothing in zoning right now.
It would have to be a selectman's ordinance.
Yes.
The selectmen must be able to have an ordinance for that. We can do carnivals.
No, towns
It's gonna
have,
be
have
like
ordinances on
ponies
regulating
and
taxi
stuff?
cabs, that's within,
We have
I'll take
something
that
on taxi
taxi.
cabs?
no, I'm saying in the statutes allow towns or
Right.
cities what they can and cannot do.
Right.
Regulating
Well,
taxi cabs is
Right
allowed.
here, I was gonna say, I have examples. This is an ordinance pertaining to licensing and regulation of taxi cabs in the town of Northfield.
Oh, Northfield's got one.
Yeah?
How interesting.
Here's one,
Taxi
instruction,
cab?
this is the city of Franklin, instruction for taxi cab permits. They require you to get a permit in Franklin. And the police chief, is directly involved. There's a whole application in here, requirements that you know, like, you have to have your insurance, and, your licensing, they look at all of that. And if you're going to have drivers, and there's things that you can include from the different policies we saw, everything from every driver that's going to work for you, he has to have the proper license, he has to have a background check to make sure that he is, you know, his driving record is presentable, and, make sure that none of them have criminal records, which might.
Can we set the amount of hours that somebody's allowed to drive? And I can see somebody pulling 16, 20-hour shifts. That's a danger to the road.
None of these really get into how many days or how many hours you can be.
Like they have truckers have to
Yeah,
stop every.
driver.
Well, now, the individual that was asking about it, he is going to have several drivers.
To start.
His aim is to offer a taxi service 24 hours a day. Now, the same individual isn't going to work 24 hours, that's why he's having drivers. But, at this point, he is looking, but he's looked at Tilton, he's looked in Northfield, and he's looked in Franklin. And, but I think, from hearing all of this, we as a community should have some kind of a policy in place, so that when they come to this town and they want to, I know years ago, we had one came in and did a site plan. It was part of the business that he was renting, an office from Mr. Neesham, the physician down here. And he did a site plan, and we also sent him up to the police station to make sure that his licensing was valid and everything about him was valid. But this guy, if he just rents a little office space on Main Street like he's talking about doing, would not necessarily require a site plan, because he's talking about a desk and
You have to
telephone.
park those cabs somewhere.
Right, well, this would all be part of it, you
Yeah.
would have to fill out, but, it just seemed to me like, instead of trying to work something into the zoning, where we're restricted, it wouldn't get voted on until next March, that maybe if we had a town policy, and this is the procedure, kind of like Northfield has done, this is what we're going to require if you want to drive a cab in our town.
I am all for this. This is another form of public transportation.
Right,
That we currently do not have.
Correct.
And I would love to see it. I hope a taxi can make it in this area.
yes, I do too.
I think there's a need.
Yeah, it should be a selectmen's ordinance. I wonder what the big cities are doing, because I'm sitting here, yes, our motor vehicles registered in the state get inspected
Yeah,
for mechanical, but what about health, safety, cleanliness?
right.
You know,
This is going to all be part of it. I mean, I can collect some more of these taxi ordinances that are around in other towns and make sure you all get a copy. That way you can read them, and then maybe we can sit down and come up with a diagram of what we want to see. Are we going to require them to have a town permit? Or are we just going to oversee their licensing and what the regulations are going for the town of Tilton are going to require? Because when we called the state, first of all, you end up at, we ended up with a Susan from Road Tolls. That particular department
Road tolls.
handles limos and making sure, okay? She says the state doesn't regulate taxi cabs at all, they rely on the towns to do that.
makes sense.
So, anyway.
The bigger cities, I bet it would be interesting, because you think somebody like Manchester and Nashua,
Yeah,
they've been dealing with taxis for decades.
Yeah.
Laconia.
Laconia, yeah.
so let me see what else I can find out, and I'll, whatever I find, I'll email to all of you, and that way we can have something to base, and then we can create whatever we want to see. Okay? Great, that's all I have. Is there anything else? Yes.
Okay.
You have questions?
I have questions. My first question is for this $5,005.76 check to the Winscombe Regional School District. This is the amount from the messed up calculations in our pumps over there at the UST. My original motion was for a lesser amount. It was like $4,970.76, and I didn't put in the fuel surcharge that would have went with it, I believe. So the check is in excess of the amount that we voted to authorize.
Why?
Because I didn't include the surcharge for the gasoline in my motion. Duh.
Yeah,
It's
but the
totally
check
on me.
shouldn't have been written.
The check has been written, okay?
Well,
And what I'm saying, it's a difference of $86.78.
So the bill came in after we made our motion.
That's right. That's exactly, and I knew the bill was coming, but I didn't know what the adjustment was gonna be. And I mentioned an adjustment, but there was an adjustment.
So
Well,
we
then
should,
why don't
we
you
should make a
amend
new
your
motion.
That's, okay, that was my question, should we?
yeah.
I
Make a
would
new
move
motion.
that we pay the amount of $5,005.76 to the Winscombe Regional School District to account for the expenditures that were made for gasoline that was improperly counted. And I think that covers it. Well, you guys know, but
Yeah,
oh,
Second.
somebody, all right, second. This was the amount because we had faulty
right.
pumps and
Yes.
computer in the pumps. They've all been replaced. We're totally on track and have been for months. But this is the amount that the USD Underground Storage Tank Committee voted, and we did it by usage as a percentage of usage because there was no way of telling.
Right.
All right.
I
Any
like
further
the way we run
discussion?
backwards.
Yeah, me too.
We're still looking at on a totally related note, at closing that tank far earlier than what we had anticipated.
Okay.
Trying to figure out how much it's gonna take to close that tank and what we can get as a group of the same USD group, going through an Irving or something like that, because we could experience significant liability, easing of liability, and lesser price as well.
Okay, hold your thought. We have a motion on the table.
Yes.
All those in favor of that motion, please say yes.
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 Yes. Okay, that was unanimous. Okay, now you can finish what you're. I
Well,
just
no,
want
that
to
was
make sure
pretty
we're
much
voting.
a finish. I don't
Okay.
have the facts and figures yet to bring back,
Okay,
but the Northfield is checking on the tank closing costs.
all right.
And, I've got information from Irving about what it would cost there, but we could go to any number of places.
Right.
So, once we get a feel for, is this in our best interest, or when is it in our best interest, we can go for RFPs
Okay.
and whatever.
All right, Joyce, you said you had a couple things you wanted to talk to us about?
No, I think we covered it. We
Covered
did,
everything?
we did the fair point,
Yeah?
and I passed around the transmittal for the health and dental insurance
Yep,
to be
okay.
signed.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't
Yeah.
have something else.
Yeah.
Catherine, do you have anything for us tonight?
Thank you.
I still have a couple other questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Questions.
All right.
I have a question about a $300 check to Great Northern Cleaning for Mercer decontamination.
Yes.
What is Mercer
We
decontamination?
had an individual come into the town hall,
I know what it is.
okay?
I know what it is. Okay, my last question is Bound Tree Medical for $100.65. It would appear that we're sharing something with the fire department.
What?
Yeah, this is shipped to Tilton Northfield Fire Department, It's a endotracheal tube holder, a blade for making tracheotomies, blah, blah, blah. It goes on here that says $91.50 is owed by the Department of Public Works. I just wondered how that came about. There's nothing, I don't know what went where.
Why are we,
I don't know. Well, we'll put a sticky on that to hold that,
Yeah,
and we'll
I'll
find
put a
out.
sticky on it. Here.
Dennis is out tomorrow, but it was a highway department expense?
It's to Roundtree Medical.
But what account's being charged?
Shipped to Tilton Northfield Fire Department. And most of that stuff is definitely life-saving things, and maybe Dennis got a few boxes of rubber gloves, I don't know. But it's for $100. As far as I can see, we only owed $91.50, so I don't understand it, that's all.
Yeah, $91.50 owed by Tilton, safety equipment. He must have, through Boundtree,
Yeah,
ordered safety equipment that goes into, they have a,
And they wouldn't ship it to Dennis?
they
They
did.
shipped it to the fire
Oh, they shipped it to
department.
the fire department?
Yeah. And maybe
Uh,
that's what
well,
it
good,
was.
so
They
he's not,
they
maybe
would send
that
it
way
to
he
the
didn't
fire
have to
department
pay
anyway.
shipping.
yeah.
But I didn't understand it, and I thought I would bring it up because I didn't know we were. in
Oh, it
cahoots.
sounds like that the fire department paid for,
Yep.
Dennis must have included something in his
And we
order.
have to reimburse.
And he's
Yeah,
gonna
but
be
how did
reimbursing.
that
I
happen?
don't know,
know.
let's find out,
Yeah.
because I got,
I mean, and I've got no problem with that if
that
that
would
was
be
the
like
good
if we
price,
ordered
but,
something with Franklin.
or, you know, I
Or
got together
Concord.
with Bob Southworth and we decided, you know, wait a minute. I don't think that's the way it works.
Okay, yeah.
It's
gonna
mostly,
put-
it's mostly latex gloves.
And trachea tubes and
Yeah,
stuff.
but that,
like that.
we need to identify what the $91,
Right.
which
Yeah, it
materials that
doesn't
were
say
highway.
what went to us.
Okay, well, I was sticky on it. You got any other questions?
My only last statement is I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
I am in favor of that.
Wonderful.
And I'm gonna put this on the top of the stack.
That's fine, and then. we'll
Yeah,
get off.
Dennis is out tomorrow, but we'll get him on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to sign the,
Oh,
Yeah, I'm gonna
put
sign it.
sticky on it, they'll take care of it.
I'm gonna sign.
I'm not worried about
I'm
that.
so sorry that you hurt so bad.
Oh, well,
Now, is the thing for LGC, for the health trusts?
I thought I just brought it over and gave them to you, but
This is for Pat to sign tomorrow morning, we got all that.
is the health trust stuff in
No,
there?
I don't have that.
Because there's nothing in here. I thought I
Because
walked
can I
up-
give you the rest of the stuff so that she can sign?
And we're
I know
adjourned.
that has to